a bit more going on behind the scenes. So what more can you tell us about what your sources are probably
know anything about? And he was kind of he was just hinting at kind of things that he's had to deal with, that he's being judged right now by performances on the pitch and results, but what he will tell you is that that's only half the story, in that he's had to come into a very, very difficult situation when he took over from Erik ten Hag in November. He's had to deal with an awful lot over the summer, including having to kind of change or at least try to change the culture in the dressing room, sort of away from the pitch. Being judged right now on performances and results, which is right because he's manager of Man United, but there are other things, or have been other things that have been going on that he's tried to work through. He's hopeful that he is taking the first sort of small steps forward, and he has seen signs of progress on the pitch. He understands though that those signs haven't been fantastic, that it has been slow progress, and ultimately he said there that he's going to get judged by results, and they're not there right now, and he needs to start winning matches, particularly against Chelsea at Old Trafford on Saturday.
Frank, when Ruben Amorim was talking there, you were making some interesting faces at his comments. What stood out to you?
Well, I think it was surreal what I heard. I mean, first I love the question from the journalist saying, yeah, you like the support, but do you really know that you have to win matches? That was surreal. First they started like that. So I loved it. And then the answer is, yes, I know, of course I know, it's what I'm working on with the team, but you know what, we are good. We are good in the middle of the park, where, we're not good at front and we're not good at the back. So you're not good where you have to be good. And that's the thing. Yeah, it's good to prepare, it's good to be okay in the middle of the park, but if you can finish action or you cannot stop actions in the other side of the field, you're in trouble. So that was surreal for me, and I mean, that guy makes me laugh. I mean, there's going to be very big pressure on the two coaches because Amorim has to win, that's for sure. I think otherwise he's going to go through many troubles. But Maresca as well. I mean, after the draw in the Premier League last week and the loss against Bayern Munich, Maresca needs to have a result as well. Maybe a draw will be enough. I think he's not in danger. But the pressure can come up as well because he needs something out of that game. Manchester United is not at their best. So Chelsea can have a chance to win something, and they will have to work hard to make sure that they get the 3 points.
Gentlemen, like I said, Ruben Amorim still able to have a bit of a jovial spirit in this pre-match presser, even though the pressure is on him. People reminding him, look, you have to win games. We know that he's now had this meeting with Sir Jim Ratcliffe, even though he said it was an already planned meeting and it was normal chat as always. Do you feel like this Chelsea game is a make or break one for him?
Well, a 4-0 defeat at home, I would say would have to break him. I mean, the two things from what he was talking about, unless Sir Jim Ratcliffe is going to sack him, then the only thing Ratcliffe is going to say is that we're backing him. Mm-hmm. Because he has to. And I think it's interesting that Amorim, although he says we're improving, he never tells you where they're improving. And there's a reason why he doesn't tell you where they're improving, is because they haven't improved anywhere. Not up the front, not up the back, and not in the middle of the park. So it's all just gobbledygook. You've got to sit in a press conference, you've got to speak, and so you may as well try your best to make it as positive as you can. But the truth is, they're certainly not any better. It's possible they're worse. And, well, we're not buying it. I'm certainly not buying it.
For me, I think what Amorim says there, there's so much that you want to agree with, but then once you start looking a little bit closer, you begin to question. And now let's start with on the park. I don't understand the comment where we're really good except for in the two boxes.
Yeah.
That's where the game is decided. Aside from which, we've been very critical of Manchester United's midfield. So are you telling me that Ugarte and Mainu and Casemiro is where you've been great this season. I just don't understand. I don't understand what he's getting at with that comment. On the other, I've read reports that saying that he and Sir Jim Ratcliffe have these regularly scheduled meetings with all the other hierarchy at the club, and this was just another one of those, but kind of given how the club have started, it takes on a different feel to it, which is all well and good, and credit if that's how it is. The other thing that I take significant exception, well, that is very true until you really. He's only lost to Arsenal and Manchester United. Now that's very true, but.
What about Grimsby?
Well, hold on. That's they've only lost to them in the league. That is very true. But to Stevie's point, you've lost to Grimsby in the league. You drew with Fulham. You've drawn with Fulham in the league. Your one league win came courtesy of a 97th minute penalty against Burnley. So while you could sit back and say we've only lost to Manchester City and Arsenal, and that looks good on the surface, when you look at Manchester United's results, as bad a start as it's been, the worst since 92-93, it could quite easily be worse.
Frank, let me come to you because you speak so well about player welfare. You spoke so passionately about Nico Jackson and his transfer from Chelsea to Bayern Munich. So what do you make about this situation for Disasi and Sterling, and how Enzo Maresca has spoken about it?
Yeah, first, he's right in a way that is every club. It's not, especially Chelsea, in that situation. And I've known that when I was playing for Marseille, when I saw like 4 or 5 players being in what we used to call the cupboard. You know, so you are there and you are stuck there and you don't even train with the first team. That's abnormal. That's unfair, because for Disasi, for example, and Sterling, they signed a contract. So the club at the time wanted them. And now they rejected them where they're still under the contract. It shouldn't be allowed to work that way. It shouldn't be allowed to have for some clubs to have so many players that they have to reject players that they decided to sign first. So I cannot agree with what Maresca said. And again, it's not only about Chelsea. It's about all the clubs in the world. We have too many players. I'm not capable of getting rid of the others that they don't want anymore and leave them outside, because that's not. Yeah, we are talking about human being, about mental health and wealth, and also the fact that you have a dignity. I mean, we are talking about international players. Raheem Sterling, Alex Disasi, they are international players. So you don't want them, you make sure that you find them a club, or you are forced to allow them to train with the first team. That should be your punishment as a club, because you don't want those players. But you decided to sign them first. They didn't come like randomly. So it's unfair for the players, and I'm gonna be defending the players for my entire life and until my last breath, because really that's unfair.
Frank for PFA president. But Shaka, you're also someone that does relate to this situation too. Do you have any sympathy for the players as well in this situation, or do you see what Maresca's saying?
Well, both, in all honesty. But to Frank's point, how do you find a place for a first-team player who's not in your plans? If nobody's in Maresca's plans, if those players aren't in Maresca's plans, not just how, but why do you include them in those first-team training sessions, unless it's just as a warm body to run around and be an opponent? But you're not going to involve them in your set pieces, defending or attacking, because you're not going to have them available to you on the match day. You're not going to involve them in anything that you are doing in terms of preparing for games if you aren't going to use them for games. So, and then the other thing too is kind of with the growth of the agent in the game, it's less about the club finding places for those players who are surplus requirements. It's about the agents doing their jobs now and getting those players out. But the challenge with these two players in particular, Raheem Sterling's on such a wage that people aren't going to take a chance on him. You saw how things worked, or not, as the case may be, with the loan spell at Arsenal last season. And for Disasi, he's got 4 years to run on a 6-year contract. And again, this was our concern a few years back when Chelsea were signing players to these ridiculously long contracts. While I guess for accounting purposes it may make sense, you find yourself in a position like this with a player who's got 4 years to run. And you are obligated to pay him for those 4 years. So now, legally, probably what's best for Chelsea to do is go to those two players, say, listen, we'll pay you up. You know, whatever, come to some kind of agreement to terminate their contract. And that way they can go on a free. But other than doing that, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the solution is to this.
Stevie?
I actually find Maresca's comments garbage. I mean, why? How dare you bring your dad? Because your dad's
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Just because your dad's a fisherman, gets up at 2 and works till 10, what's that got to do with the price of bread?
He's saying
It's got absolutely nothing.
That's a true struggle.
Absolutely. Shut up. I mean, what a lot of nonsense. And by the way, the fact that Maresca turns around and says, I was in a similar situation, that's the very reason you don't do that to those players, because you know how bad it makes them feel.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't want them, if you're not having them in the squad and you want to move them on, that's fine. But you don't have to treat them like 5 and 6 year olds. Get them training with the U23s when they normally train, and that way you're being professional, and then you're treating them professionally. I mean, they haven't done anything other than the fact that you don't want them. They've not done anything. It's not their fault that you don't want them. It's not their fault that they're on good money, particularly Sterling. So don't treat them like a bit of garbage, because that's what they're doing. Making them come in at 8 o'clock at night. That's ridiculous. And honestly, the biggest thing that annoys me the most is the fact that Maresca said it happened to him. That if you're any sort of human being, that should tell you, I'm going to make sure that never happens to any of my players ever again. But guess what? He didn't.
Ooh, I've not seen Stevie that fired up since he couldn't find out how to log on to his laptop today. Rob Dawson, let me come to you for this one as well, because when you look at it now and when you have two players like this in your books and you're trying to get them off of your books, you try to put them in the shop window at least before January. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon for any of these players, especially Raheem Sterling at Chelsea. So is there a market for them? What would their options be looking like come January?
Yeah, well, there was talk of possibly Raheem Sterling moving to another London club on deadline day, possibly Fulham or Brentford. I think he wants to stay in London to be close to his family, and obviously that didn't materialise. The problem is when you get into sort of the January window, that those two lads just won't be anywhere near match fit. You know, what club in January is going to take a punt on two players who haven't been, not only have they not been playing matches at an intense level, they've not even been training properly. I appreciate that Chelsea are sort of saying we're laying on the conditions for them to train properly, but it's one thing running around cones on your own in the corner of a field at 8:30 at night, and completely different thing training with your teammates in an intense first team training session every single day. So it's going to be really, really difficult for those two players to find moves in January. And I've got to agree with Stevie. I find Maresca's comments completely disrespectful, because he's almost saying that, you know, these two players, they're footballers, they earn a lot of money, they don't really know what hard work is. Well, you know, they're still missing out on quite a large portion of their careers. Neither of them grew up dreaming of training on their own in a corner of a field when they could be playing matches. And for Raheem Sterling in particular, is reaching an age where, you know, he may never get another move again. It wasn't his fault that Chelsea offered him a long deal that they didn't want to honour. And I feel so sorry for both of those players, because, you know, their careers are stalling, and you know, it could be that they never get a proper move again, and you could be looking at the kind of the end of their careers. I think Maresca's comments are completely wrong, and I think the way they're being treated is wrong as well. I'm completely with the guys in the studio. I think it's outrageous, to be honest.
Yeah, difficult situation for both players. Hopefully they do find a solution soon enough. Frank, let's get to some predictions now. This is what we all say. I've gone for a 1-1 draw. Rob's going for a 1-1 draw. And Shaka, I thought I was really, you know, going for it for that one. But Frank has gone with a Chelsea win, as well as Stevie. Frank, let me start with you. You're definitely backing your Blues.
Yes, I have to. I mean, according to what I saw and what we can see week in, week out, I'm sorry, we're gonna hate, and we're gonna nicely hate each other, Alexi, for the weekend. But your almighty Manchester United is not showing anything that I can think that it can win a game, even at Old Trafford against the Blues. Yeah, it's possible, but I see more possibilities for the Blues to win that game and get the 3 points, because it's what it should be, even if we know that Manchester United is capable of doing anything. But right now, I don't see that. I don't see that coming. I don't see anything in the chemistry whatsoever who can say, ooh, maybe they can get something out of the Blues.
All right, Stevie, are you ready? Because Liverpool have been the late show so far this season. 6 of their 12 goals so far coming after the 80th minute mark. So, Stevie, is that winner's mentality or cause for concern? How have you been feeling about your boys as they head into what, as you wanted to say, is the big game this weekend, the Merseyside derby?
I think it's a cause for concern because you cannot rely on scoring late goals to get you out the mess that you've put yourself in. You know, to be 2-0 up against Atletico Madrid, you should have buried them. It should have been 3 or 4, and you don't, and then you let them back in. And then we started the season talking about how defensively they were leaking goals. So, yeah, I think you can only turn around and say, well, that's what champions do. You know, they win late. But when you're doing it 5 games in a row and you've got to lead it that late, that means there's a problem before you get to that particular stage. It's great that you've got the ability that you can do it, but you can't keep relying on it. And eventually that'll run out. So, yeah, he's got a bit of work to do, but listen, it seems strange to be complaining that you're winning every time you step on the field. But the truth is, you can't keep doing that.
I agree. Listen, there's no question to Stevie's phrasing, Arne Slot's got work to do to get this right. But it's great when that work comes when you've won, 4 games, well, certainly in the league, 4 games on the spin. Without playing well, we admit, and relying on late goals, but it's a lot easier to tinker, to convince players to do different things, to experiment. When you're 100% as Liverpool are, as opposed to if you've won 1 out of that 4 or whatever it may be. So I'm with Stevie on that. It's cause for concern, but if you're on a slot, it's a great place to be in terms of fixing those issues.
Well, Anfield has definitely been a fortress for Liverpool for the Merseyside derbies. If you just have a look at the last 5 results at Anfield, you see that Liverpool absolutely have owned Everton at home. Just the 1 win for the Toffees, and that came back in 2021. So let's get some predictions, shall we? Frank, oh my days. Frank has gone for a 2-2 draw, and the rest of us have gone for a 2-1 win for Liverpool. Frank, explain yourself.
Well, to defend myself, I thought it would be too easy to say that Liverpool can win. And according to what my 2 colleagues have just said, that's not that easy. And it's not like Liverpool is dominating the opponent and dominating the game and having chances to score. And there is no doubt that they are suffering, but they're going to score like at the Fergie times, at the time, when you know that at a certain time they're gonna score a goal. It's not like that. Yes, they score a goal, but they're lucky for me at the moment. They're not dominating their opponents. And Everton, you have to be fair. They're doing good. They're doing good this season. They trouble people. They got, I think, 6 points or 8 points. I don't remember. So they got some points. They're not struggling. It's not the Everton that we have seen lately, who's going to struggle all season long. I think that's a good Everton. And if Liverpool think that's going to be enough, and maybe they can score a goal in the last 10 minutes of the game, they can be surprised. And it's a Merseyside derby on top of it. You never know what can happen. You can have something different because it's a derby. So it's why I put a 2-2, because I think it's feasible for me, and I'm pretty sure that the Toffees can create problems to Liverpool.
Yeah, no matter how many struggles Everton have, they always seem to rise to a different level in this fixture, Stevie. Does that make you a bit nervous for this one?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. All those victories you showed there, 2-0 is the biggest victory over the last 2001 to 2005. And I don't remember any of those victories being comfortable or easy. In terms of on paper, those results that we've shown, Liverpool were, on paper, miles ahead of what Everton were doing. on paper, yes, you could say they're miles ahead, but on the field, Everton's got 2 wins, 2 draws. They're really solid. They're organised. This is a better Everton side than they've had in probably at least the last 5 or 6 years. And so, yeah, I'm a little nervous. I do think Liverpool will win, but yeah, you should never underestimate an Everton side in a Merseyside derby.
TGIF, and thank goodness we've got a new edition of ESPN FC coming your way right now. I'm Alexis Nunes, hanging out with Stevie Nicol and Shaka Hislop, and the Premier League is where we have to start. Just have a look at all of the fixtures on offer this weekend. Sunday, of course, is the big one with Arsenal hosting Manchester City, but Saturdays, Stevie, let me get to it. But Saturday's early kickoff is the ever entertaining Merseyside derby with a mighty Liverpool hosting Everton. Did you like that one?
It was better, but...
And then Chelsea travel to Manchester United to face Ruben Amorim's side, who desperately needs something to secure the manager's future at United. Well, interestingly enough, speaking about that, this week, Man United owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe held a meeting with Ruben Amorim, and have a listen to what the United manager had to say about it.
Jim Ratcliffe was here yesterday. I mean, obviously, there's a lot going on at the club, but everybody kind of focuses on you. Could you just tell us what you spoke about with him?
New contract. He was offering me a new contract. And no, it's normal things, just to show the support, explaining that is a long project. He said many times this is my first season. For me, it's not. But normal things. Spoke with him, with Omar, with Jason, just trying to see all the data around the team. So a normal meeting, and we had several. But in this moment, it's normal. People pay attention to that.
I mean, I understand you will appreciate the support, I'm sure. But you also know you do have to win matches, don't you?
That is, guys, this is football, and this is the club with more pressure maybe in the world. But we want to win, and again, I think we are. You can say whatever, and I think last year I was a lot of very critical of the way we play. I think we are playing well until the boxes, defending and attacking. We need to be more aggressive in the boxes. We need to be more clinical. The rest, I think we are improving in comparing to last year. I think we are in the better place. But again, we need to win. We lost against Arsenal and we lost against City. And here losing, especially in the beginning after last season, is a problem.
Afternoon, Ruben. You said after the City game that there are a lot of things that have happened in the last few months that we don't know about. Appreciate you might not be able to say everything, but can you give us some context as to the type of things?
No, guys, you know more or less, and you are here for a while, and you have your sources, so you know what I was talking about. But now I'm focused on Chelsea.
Well, Ruben Amorim there, despite all of the pressure on him right now, he's still able to have a laugh in the pre-match presser. Someone who loves a laugh, Frank LeBoeuf, he's joining us as well. And someone who hates laughing, Rob Dawson, is also joining us. Rob, I'm just kidding. I knew I was going to get a laugh out of it. Rob knows. We've had many a good laugh. But Rob, let's talk about Manchester United now. You were at this exact presser. And even though Ruben Amorim was able to make some jokes, have a laugh there, you do get the sense that there's a bit more going on behind the scenes. So what more can you tell us about what your sources are probably telling you about what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, it was an odd comment that Ruben made after the Manchester derby, that he kind of said there are other things going on that you don't know anything about. And he was just hinting at kind of things that he's had to deal with, that, you know, he's being judged right now by performances on the pitch and results. But what he will tell you is that that's only half the story, in that He's had to come into a very, very difficult situation when he took over from Erik ten Hag in November. He's had to deal with an awful lot over the summer, including having to kind of change or at least try to change the culture in the dressing room, sort of away from the pitch. The likes of Marcus Rashford have had to leave. Alejandro Garnacho has had to leave. So there's all these things that he's had to deal with that has affected his ability to do his job. And he's simply saying that he's being judged right now on performances and results, which is right because he's manager of Man United. But there are other things, or have been other things that have been going on that he's tried to work through. He's hopeful that he is taking the first sort of small steps forward, and he has seen signs of progress on the pitch. He understands though that those signs haven't been fantastic. That it has been slow progress, and ultimately he said there that he's going to get judged by results, and they're not there right now, and he needs to start winning matches, particularly against Chelsea at Old Trafford on Saturday.
Frank, when Ruben Amorim was talking there, you were making some interesting faces at his comments. What stood out to you?
Well, I think it was surreal what I heard. I mean, first, I love the question from the journalist saying, yeah, you like the support, but do you really know that you have to win matches? That was surreal. First, they started like that. So I loved it. And then the answer say, yes, I know. Of course, I know. It's what I'm working on with the team, but you know what? We are good. We are good in the middle of the park. We're not good at front and we're not good at the back. So you're not good where you have to be good. And that's the thing. Yeah, it's good to prepare. It's good to be okay in the middle of the park, but if you can finish action or you cannot stop actions in the other side of the field, you're in trouble. So that was surreal for me. And I mean, that guy makes me laugh. I mean, there's going to be very big pressure on the two coaches because Amorim has to win. That's for sure. I think otherwise he's going to go through many troubles. But Maresca as well. I mean, after the draw in the Premier League last week and the loss against Bayern Munich, Maresca needs to have a result as well. Maybe a draw would be enough. I think he's not in danger. But the pressure can come up as well because he needs something out of that game. Manchester United is not at their best. So Chelsea can have a chance to win something, and they will have to work hard to make sure that they get the 3 points.
Gentlemen, like I said, Ruben Amorim still able to have a bit of a jovial spirit in this pre-match presser, even though the pressure is on him. People reminding him, look, you have to win games. We know that he's now had this meeting with Sir Jim Ratcliffe, even though he said it was an already planned meeting and it was normal chat as always. Do you feel like this Chelsea game is a make or break one for him?
Well, a 4-0 defeat at home, I would say would have to break him. I mean, the two things from what he was talking about, unless Sir Jim Ratcliffe is going to sack him, then the only thing Ratcliffe is going to say is that we're backing him. Mm-hmm. Because he has to. And I think it's interesting that Amorim, although he says we're improving, he never tells you where they're improving. And there's a reason why he doesn't tell you where they're improving. It's because they haven't improved anywhere. Not up the front, not up the back, and not in the middle of the park. So it's all just gobbledygook. You've got to sit in a press conference, you've got to speak, and so you may as well try your best to make it as positive as you can. But the truth is, they're certainly not any better. It's possible they're worse. And, well, we're not buying it. I'm certainly not buying it.
For me, I think what Amorim says there, there's so much that you want to agree with, but then once you start looking a little bit closer, you begin to question. And now let's start with on the park. I don't understand the comment where we're really good except for in the two boxes.
Yeah.
That's where the game is decided. Aside from which, we've been very critical of Manchester United's midfield. So are you telling me that Ugarte and Menu and Casemiro is where you've been great this season? I just don't understand. I don't understand what he's getting at with that comment. On the other, I've read reports that saying that he and Sir Jim Ratcliffe have these regularly scheduled meetings with all the other hierarchy at the club, and this was just another one of those, but kind of given how the club has started, it takes on a different feel to it, which is all well and good, and credit if that's how it is. The other thing that I take significant exception, well, that is very true until you really... He's only lost to Arsenal and Manchester United. Now that's very true. But
What about Grimsby?
well, hold on. That's they've only lost to them in the league. That is very true. But to Steve's point, you've lost to Grimsby in the league. You drew with Fulham. You've drawn with Fulham in the league. Your one league win came courtesy of a 97th minute penalty against Burnley. So while you could sit back and say we've only lost to Manchester City and Arsenal, and that looks good on the surface, when you look at Manchester United's results, as bad a start as it's been, the worst since 92-93, it could quite easily be worse. It could quite easily be having to answer for a whole lot more. So, which is why I started by saying you want to agree with him, but if you really look a little bit deeper, it's hard to find sympathy with what Amorim is saying.
Rob, now we know that the problems that Manchester United face are not really Ruben Amorim's problems, but he did have the better parts of 10 months so far at Manchester United, and to Shaq and Stevie's point, we're not really seeing any improvement on any area of the pitch. And then you look over at what Thomas Frank is now doing at Spurs in such a little time. It's really hard to kind of buy into what Amorim is saying now.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting today that in Amorim's press conference that he kind of mentioned that Jim Ratcliffe has said to him, well, this is your first season. And I suppose technically it is. It's his first full season, but he arrived in November. You're talking about quite a large sample size now. I think it's 31 Premier League games and only 8 wins. And that's just not good enough. Now, there is context to what happened last season. He will tell you that he threw away Premier League games because he was focused on the Europa League. It became their priority. They had to rest players. They had to try and win it as best they could. Now, they ended up playing weakened teams in the Premier League. They lost those games, and that's obviously contributed to this really, really poor record. This season, I mean, I would argue that they are marginally better this season than they were last year. I think if you look at some of the Premier League stats in terms of XG and total shots and a lot of these attacking metrics, United are up there in terms of their Premier League rivals. The problem is
But two players who have not been involved with their winning are Raheem Sterling and Axel Disasi. They're not even allowed to train with the first team, and Enzo Maresca was asked about that in his pre-match presser. And just listen to what he had to say.
We've heard this week from the PFA who've been checking in on a couple of your players. You spoke last week about the fact that you hadn't even spoken to Raheem Sterling when he hadn't got his move on deadline day. I mean, it wasn't that long ago you were a player. How might you feel?
I've been in Raheem's situation and Axel's situation as a player, and for sure I know that it's not the best feeling for a player, because if you are a player, that means that you want to train and play a game. But then for different reason, the situation is the situation that is in this moment, and I know that the club is giving them the opportunity to work in the right way. It's not just Chelsea, it's any club in the world, I can promise you. Italy, Spain, England, France, USA, Brazil, any club in the world. When for any reason the player and the club doesn't find any solution, you give the player all the tools to do training session and to do everything. But if you are not involved in the squad, you are not involved in the squad. Again, I know that it's something that you like to talk about, but it's not about Chelsea. It's about any club in the world.
I know, but it's about human at the centre of this, isn't it? Like their mental health.
Yeah. My father is 75 years old, and for 50 years he has been fisherman, working for 2 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock in the morning. This is hard in life, not a player the way they work.
Ooh, that is a mic drop moment if I've ever seen one. And just for a little further context, Raheem Sterling earlier this week on Instagram posted a story of him training well after 8:20 p.m. at night at Cobham. Since then, the PFA have held talks with Chelsea just to make sure that their training situations are adhering to FIFA's rules for players in said situations. Frank, let me come to you because you speak so well about player welfare. You spoke so passionately about Nico Jackson and his transfer from Chelsea to Bayern Munich. So what do you make about this situation for Disasi and Sterling and how Enzo Maresca has spoken about it?
Yeah, first, he's right in a way that is every club. It's not, especially Chelsea, in that situation. And I've known that when I was playing for Marseille, when I saw like 4 or 5 players being in what we used to call the cupboard. You know, so you are there and you are stuck there and you don't even train with the first team. That's abnormal. That's unfair because for Disasi, for example, and Sterling, they signed a contract. So the club at the time wanted them. And now they rejected them where they're still under the contract. It shouldn't be allowed to work that way. It shouldn't be allowed to have for some clubs to have so many players that they have to reject players that they've decided to sign first. So I cannot agree with what Maresca said. And again, it's not only about Chelsea. It's about all the clubs in the world. We have too many players and not capable of getting rid of the others that they don't want anymore and leave them outside, because that's not. Yeah, we are talking about human being, about mental health and wealth, and also the fact that you have a dignity. I mean, we are talking about international players. Raheem Sterling, Alex Disasi, they are international players. So you don't want them, you make sure that you find them a club, or you are forced to allow them to train with the first team. That should be your punishment as a club, because you don't want those players. But you decided to sign them first. They didn't come like randomly. So it's unfair for the players, and I'm gonna be defending the players for my entire life and until my last breath, because really that's unfair.
Frank for PFA president, but Shaka, you're also someone that does relate to this situation too. Do you have any sympathy for the players as well in this situation, or do you see what Maresca's saying?
Well, both in all honesty. But to Frank's point, how do you find a place for a first team player who's not in your plans? If nobody's in Maresca's plans, if those players aren't in Maresca's plans, not just how, but why do you include them in those first team training sessions, unless it's just as a warm body to run around and be an opponent? But you're not going to involve them in your set pieces, defending or attacking, because you're not going to have them available to you on the match day. You're not going to involve them in anything that you are doing in terms of preparing for games if you aren't going to use them for games. So, and then the other thing too is kind of with the growth of the agent in the game, it's less about the club finding places for those players who are surplus requirements. It's about the agents doing their jobs now and getting those players out. But the challenge with these two players in particular, Raheem Sterling's on such a wage that people aren't going to take a chance on him. You saw how things worked or not, as the case may be with the loan spell at Arsenal last season. And for Disasi, he's got 4 years to run on a 6-year contract. And again, this was our concern a few years back when Chelsea were signing players to these ridiculously long contracts. While I guess for accounting purposes it may make sense, you find yourself in a position like this with a player who's got 4 years to run. And you are obligated to pay him for those 4 years. So now, legally, probably what's best for Chelsea to do is go to those two players, say, listen, we'll pay you up. You know, whatever, come to some kind of agreement to terminate their contract. And that way they can go on a free. But other than doing that, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the solution is to this.
Stevie?
I actually find Maresca's comments garbage. I mean, why? How dare you bring your dad? Because your dad's
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Just because your dad's a fisherman, gets up at 2 and works till 10. What's that got to do with the price of bread?
He's saying
absolutely nothing.
That's a true struggle.
Absolutely, shut it. I mean, what a lot of nonsense. And by the way, the fact that Maresca turns around and says, I was in a similar situation, that's the very reason you don't do that to those players, because you know how bad it makes them feel.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't want them, if you're not having them in the squad and you want to move them on, that's fine. But you don't have to treat them like 5 and 6-year-olds. Get them training with the U23s when they normally train, And then in that way you're being professional, and then you're treating them professionally. I mean, they haven't done anything other than the fact that you don't want them. They've not done anything. It's not their fault that you don't want them. It's not their fault that they're on good money, particularly Sterling. So don't treat them like a bit of garbage, because that's what they're doing. Making them come in at 8 o'clock at night. That's ridiculous. And honestly, the biggest thing that annoys me the most is the fact that Maresca said it happened to him. That if you're any sort of human being, that should tell you, I'm going to make sure that never happens to any of my players ever again. But guess what? He didn't.
Ooh, not seen Stevie that fired up since he couldn't find out how to log on to his laptop today. Rob Dawson, let me come to you for this one as well, because when you look at it now and when you have two players like this in your books and you're trying to get them off of your books, you try to put them in the shop window at least before January. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon for any of these players, especially Raheem Sterling at Chelsea. So is there a market for them? What would their options be looking like come January?
Yeah, well, there was talk of possibly Raheem Sterling moving to another London club on deadline day, possibly Fulham or Brentford. I think he wants to stay in London to be close to his family, and obviously that didn't materialise. The problem is when you get into sort of the January window, those two lads just won't be anywhere near match fit. You know, what club in January is going to take a punt on two players who haven't been, not only have they not been playing matches at an intense level, they've not even been training properly. I appreciate that Chelsea are sort of saying we're laying on the conditions for them to train properly, but it's one thing running around cones on your own in the corner of a field at 8:30 at night, and completely different thing training with your teammates in an intense first team training session every single day. So it's going to be really, really difficult for those two players to find moves in January. And I've got to agree with Stevie. I find Maresca's comments completely disrespectful, because he's almost saying that, you know, these two players, they're footballers, they earn a lot of money, they don't really know what hard work is. Well, you know, they're still missing out on quite a large portion of their careers. Neither of them grew up dreaming of training on their own in a corner of a field when they could be playing matches. And for Raheem Sterling in particular is reaching an age where, you know, he may never get another move again. It wasn't his fault that Chelsea offered him a long deal that they didn't want to honour. And I feel so sorry for both of those players, because, you know, their careers are stalling, and you know, it could be that they never get a proper move again, and you could be looking at the kind of the end of their careers. I think Maresca's comments are completely wrong, and I think the way they're being treated is wrong as well. I'm completely with the guys in the studio. I think it's outrageous, to be honest.
Yeah, difficult situation for both players. Hopefully they do find a solution soon enough. Frank, let's get to some predictions now. This is what we all say. I've gone for a 1-1 draw. Rob's going for a 1-1 draw. And Shaka, I thought I was really, you know, going for it for that one. But Frank has gone with a Chelsea win, as well as Stevie. Frank, let me start with you. You're definitely backing your Blues.
Yes, I have to. I mean, according to what I saw and what we can see week in, week out, I'm sorry, we're gonna nicely hate each other, Alexi, for the weekend. But your almighty Manchester United is not showing anything that I can think that they can win a game, even at Old Trafford against the Blues. Yeah, it's possible, but I see more possibilities for the Blues to win that game and get the 3 points, because it's what it should be, even if we know that Manchester United is capable of doing anything. But right now, I don't see that. I don't see that coming. I don't see anything in the chemistry whatsoever who can say, ooh, maybe they can get something out of the Blues. Yes, if the Blues don't do that, if the Blue plays well, they're going to win.
All right, well, I think the interesting part about all of these predictions is that everybody has said that Manchester United will score a goal, which is something that they've been struggling to do in a while. Stevie, especially you're picking United to score a goal.
Only because I'm not carried away with that little triangle at the back for Chelsea, the two centre-backs and Sanchez in goal.
Sanchez came up with some good saves this week, though, in the Champions League.
No, he did. But he's also had some howlers. So you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that partnership defensively, the two centre-backs, Tosin and Chalobah, is particularly strong. And so Manchester United have been making, certainly Mbomo has had some opportunities, hasn't always taken them. So that's why I think they might get a goal. However, I just don't see how defensively they're going to stop Chelsea, particularly when they turn the ball over. Because United will try and go forward at Old Trafford, and that's when the problems will start. Because the middle of the park, as we've said, can't stop anybody getting to the back four. Probably Lamins, I would assume, is maybe going to make his debut. You know, he's going to be nervous as a kitten. So, yeah, I can only see a Chelsea win.
I think, Rob, it's been just about 12 years since Chelsea have managed to snatch a victory against Manchester United at Old Trafford. So it still is a little bit of a fortress for them in this fixture. But if Chelsea do what Stevie say and come away with a 3-1 victory, do you think that could be it for Ruben Amorim?
I mean, it certainly wouldn't be great for Amorim. I think that if he was to lose that game, I think if he was to lose heavily, he could be in serious trouble on Monday morning. I don't think necessarily the result of that game will decide anything, though. I think the two more important games for him, if they were to lose against Chelsea, I think the two more important games for him would be Brentford and Sunderland, because with all due respect for both to both of those teams, United should be winning those games. And if they were to lose against Chelsea, and then those two games against Brentford and Sunderland don't go well just before the international break, that would be worrying for Ruben Amorim. The pressure would mount even more than it is now, and he could find himself in serious trouble.
All right, well, for more from Rob Dawson, make sure to check out the latest edition of the Football Reporters podcast, where the boys are definitely discussing, guess what, the future of Ruben Amorim. Rob Dawson, thank you so much for joining us.
What's different about Arsenal this season? And does it mean they're finally going to win the Premier League? Well, here to break that down on today's show, brought to you by Boyle Sports, is John McKenzie and Art de Rocher. Let's go. Art, let's start with you. If Arsenal are different this season, is it a lot different or just a little bit?
I'd say probably somewhere in between that. Obviously, they go into this season wanting to have something that is different to get them over the line, finally. But I think when you look at how teams evolve, and I'm sure that's a word we'll use quite a bit today, it's never going to be everything all at once. So throughout pre-season, you could see that there were little things that needed to change. So with the striker that they brought in, Victor Gyökeres, the style was going to be different. They were going to have to be a bit more direct in the way they wanted to get forward, but then also there were still fundamentals within the way that they played that are still consistent. So a left back that comes into midfield areas, that still happens with Ricardo Calafiori. I just think, yeah, there's going to be some change, but there will still be recognisable features to their game.
Okay, so maybe evolution, not revolution, John.
Yeah, I think so. And I think as Art is emphasising here, there's things where you can point to the data and say something different is happening. But actually in some of the areas where you might think, oh, there'll be a big change in the data, there's not really that. So, for example, I've got a viz here just showing Arsenal's long passes attempted per 90 minutes across Mikel Arteta's time at Arsenal. And as you can see, through his time, that's slowly come down. That makes sense, right? Because he wants his team to play sort of largely controlled football. If you play long balls, it does reduce your ability to control the ball. So that has been dropping down. But then we get to this season, and obviously it's a very small sample size. It's only 4 games so far. So it could just be that the games that they played have been games where they played more long balls. But it does seem to indicate that they are more willing to get the ball forward quickly, which makes sense given what Art said about Victor Gyökeres being brought in. He thrives in those scenarios where he's running in the channels in behind. But there's some other areas as well that we can look at where you might think, well, if they're going to be playing more direct, it might make sense that they have more direct attacks over time. Now,
is this the Himalayas, John?
This is the Himalayas, yeah.
Right.
But unfortunately, this is representing something much less interesting than what the Himalayas represent. I don't know what I'm talking about here. Because this is showing direct attacks. Now, Opta defines direct attacks as a sequence of play where the ball is moving forward over 50% of the time. It starts in your own half and it ends with a touch in the box or a shot. The criticism of Arsenal has been, oh, they slow the game down too much. They don't have enough of these direct attacks. And now this season they're much more direct, right? But actually, if we look at those direct attacks, the numbers are still very similar to where they've been before. There's not been a massive spike up over the course of the first 4 games of the season. Another area that I think is interesting is direct attack speed. So direct attack speed is basically what you're doing is you're trying to work out how quickly you're moving the ball forward in those moments when you are. And again, over the course of Arteta's tenure, you can see that has been brought down, which again, I think most Arsenal fans would agree with, that they've got slower in the way that they play. And this season, that trend has continued, which might not make a huge amount of sense because they have been more direct. So what I did is I actually just broke down the numbers more specifically by game. And I think what emerges is quite interesting because we have some games where they're playing very quickly, right? So the Man United game is comfortably the fastest that they've been for a while in ball progression. But then you have a game against Leeds United where they're back to what you might expect from Arsenal, which is, territorial dominance, squeezing their opponents deep into the box and retaining a lot of possession, so you don't need to move the ball forward quickly. And I think that's what's so interesting about this, is that it's saying in some games it will be better for us to play quicker. In other games it might be better for us to do what we've been doing in previous seasons as well. So I think what we're going to talk about today is the evolution it's about adding more strings to Arsenal's bow rather than just saying, well, the way we were playing before wasn't good enough. We know that the way that they were playing before was good enough. They were very, very close. But there's some areas where they have dropped points where if you can actually give yourself a bit more tactical diversity, then you raise the chances of winning those games and therefore winning the league.
Just on that, I did actually ask Mikel Arteta about it in pre-season because there was a game against Athletic Club, so it was a lot more Arsenal dominant than the Champions League game. And he did say that even though they were going a bit more direct in that game, it was about just making small tweaks, not doing things just for the sake of it or all in one go as well, because then you lose what you've already built, I think. So he's very conscious of that.
Yeah, okay. I mean, speaking of what he's built, it's not the first time that he's made tweaks or evolved, right?
No, it's a constant thing. And I think when you look at the table here, obviously first came in 2019, where he had to consolidate a very, very transitional team in a dangerous way, rather than
in his career already, that and I can come up with all the others as well, that yes, it's special, but it's not miles of other special games they've played.
August's manager of the month, and he's easy to listen to, isn't he?
You know what, they've only once that I've ever seen him lose his composure. That was a derby.
Good, yeah.
And obviously the mask dropped, but most of the time he gives you a little insight as well as to sort of personality and how his tactical mindset works in games, which is really good. I think he's been wonderful. I think he fitted the absolute, ticked every box when the club went for him. If you remember, Amorim was first in line for Liverpool back in the day, and he soon got dropped out. Maybe it was because of his formation, but this guy's come in. I think he's been a breath of fresh air. I think he's been different class.
And do you think we're seeing more of Arne Slot's Liverpool as the months roll by? I mean, hell of a first season, Ray, but I guess he's getting his feet under the table.
I can't speak highly enough about the man. When you think he's only been at the club just over a season, to achieve what he has so far has been absolutely incredible. And he speaks so well. I love listening to him because it's just simple. He doesn't overcomplicate things. I'm sure he does with his players. He's making sure he gets everything across to them, what's required to go and win football games. But there's a passion there. There's a love of the club there. I think that comes through when he speaks. He wants this club to be extremely successful, and he wants to leave a legacy here that will rival all the past great managers Liverpool have had. But he's been brilliant for the club. I think the players that he's brought in have been very, very good. But above all, the fans love watching good football. And if you want to watch a team in the Premier League, you're going to watch Liverpool because they play better than most. They play a front foot, attacking football, and gets fans on the edge of the seats.
I do think though, Ray, when it first started last season, like people are going, oh, we've had a slow start. It was exactly the same last year. If you think back, it didn't really kick off until we were playing Man City, Real Madrid, when it was real high quality football matches. We didn't play and it was a slower brand of football. It wasn't this front foot. It was slower, going back to alley a bit more, keeping the ball between us a lot more. And I think fans, I was here one game early on last year, and I thought, oh my goodness, it's quiet, it's 15 minutes in. Then all of a sudden, Luis Diaz goes up, Annie Road end, left foot, rifles in the roof of the net, the place erupted. At vital times throughout his early stages, we got wins. And we also, everybody was able to get used to the football because of those wins.
And actually, I remember he obsessed for weeks over that defeat, that early defeat to Nottingham Forest here at Anfield, didn't he? And he took it personally, he took it badly, and I think the fans liked that because they probably felt the same.
Yeah, well, Forest done a number on Liverpool that day. I remember watching the game because they changed their tactics around, if you like. They brought out their most attacking players and put in workman-like players in them areas just to frustrate Liverpool. And then late on, when they started to get more of a foothold in the game, they changed the forward players, and then that gave them an extra incentive, and then they ended up winning the match. But he learned a great deal from it.
I'll tell you what he learned from that game. It was the first game after the first international break, and he played all the South American players in that game who travelled, who played these 2 games, and he played them all. He never done it again after an international break. The South American lads all sat on the bench, and he never played them again.
And what about the ones that it's a first Merseyside derby for today, like Kirkhead, like Ekitike? Do you remember yours in the introduction?
My first game was in the FA Cup and actually scored the winning goal. We won 1-0. So I remember very well.
Quite a good memory.
And that was at Goodison. So, yeah, as I say, I'll go back to, it wasn't a particularly good game. There wasn't a lot of football played in it, but we ended up winning the match, and that's what it's about. And these games are not always about playing the best football, is it, Bill? It's about getting the 3 points. It's getting that W next to your name, and it's for the fans to enjoy until you play again. But it's been a good start. You know, it's not been the brilliant football that we anticipate from Liverpool, but we've been in teams that show you how you win matches. It's not always about playing the best football. It's how do you show your discipline? How do you show your character? The 2 bywords, attitude and commitment. I learnt them at Liverpool. That's what it was about. And when you go out there with that and you match the opposition, normally with your better ability, it will shine through. At some stage you'll end up winning the game. But you've got to match them, and I think that's why maybe he's gone with that 3 midfielders today, who he knows what he's going to get from them in a real competitive area of the field.
And then he can just bring a sub on and win in the 90th minute, and we'll all go home happy. That'll be fine. As you do. So the city's been building up to the Merseyside derby for obviously a few days now, maybe even a few weeks in some cases. I can bet that as soon as the full-time whistle went on Wednesday night, a certain Steve Hunter was in full derby frenzy mode, matchday pants on, everything. Steve, who's got the golden ticket to be on audio commentary with you today?
Matt, it's fantastic to see you as always. You are one of the best, my friend. And the legend is back. John Aldridge, Aldo, hopefully, well, maybe not. No, we don't want him as calm, do we? We want him like he was the other night, going absolutely crazy. I don't think the Atletico commentators next to us quite liked it, but you know, you win and you lose games, don't you? So it is what it is. What a game this is, the derby. You know, people try and talk up a rivalry, don't they, with Manchester City, and because of Jurgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola, what happened there. But this, as Shanks used to say with the league, is the bread and butter, isn't it? This is the game, the Merseyside derby. There's been so many emotions throughout the years, and this is the game, along with our arch rivals Manchester United. These are the games that really, really matter, and we're desperate to win, aren't we? Let's be honest, we are. Last season's games of the derbies, well, you talk about contrasting emotions. First of all, that incredible game at Goodison, the last ever Merseyside derby to be played at Goodison under the lights. You just had a feeling, didn't you, before that game, that there was something going to happen in that. There was all sorts of emotions, but I'm going to share a little something with you and see if you agree with me on here. I said this to Tomo at the end of last season, and Phil Tomo agreed with me, and I said, you know what? I said, if Tarkowski, and let's give Everton fans their moment, that was an unbelievable moment, last one at Goodison, but if he hadn't scored that, we would have won that game. That Tottenham game wouldn't have happened, would it? So I think we should all say a big toast to James Tarkowski, because if not, we could have won the league at the King Power. It would have been brilliant, of course it would, but it just wouldn't have been the same, would it? So that goal by Tarkowski enabled us, in the end, to win it on that magical day against Tottenham at Anfield, and that's football, isn't it? It really is. And then you talk about emotions, that the game at Anfield, the game at Anfield there, with Diogo Jota, with what happened, forever etched, number 20, Diogo. And we're on the back there, weren't we, coming into that Anfield game? That was a massive game to get us back underway in the title race, because we'd lost to PSG, despite playing well, creating a lot of chances. We lost to Newcastle United, and then it was Everton in the derby. You may remember a Tarkowski wild challenge that could easily have got a red, but it had to be Diogo, didn't it? It had to be him. Forever etched, number 20, Diogo Jota. What a goal, what a winner in front of the Kop. That is what magical moments are made of. His last ever goal for Liverpool, Diogo Jota. We will forever remember our number 20. That was just a pure magical moment that will be forever etched in Liverpool fans' hearts and history. It was truly a sensational moment, and we'll never forget that, will we? Never forget that. Before we hand down to Matt, I remember Ray Houghton. Great to have Ray with us. He scored a wonderful winner in the FA Cup against Everton. Ask him, does he remember it? I tell you, from a John Barnes cross, it went off at Goodison that day. Let's hope we're celebrating today. Matt, it's all yours.
Remember that?
Oh, absolutely. The only thing I'd done in the game. I was poor that day, amongst a lot of players. But it was a little 1-2 down there, right between Peter and John Barnes, and John crossed the ball in. And how I remember it, Phil, I come soaring in over the Everton fullback and powered a header in past Neville Southall. But I remember running over to where the Liverpool fans were, and it was just pure celebration. To play in your first derby and score and end up being the winner.
Headed goal.
And I did score against England as well in '88, if you don't remember.
Oh, yes. We remember that
He
one.
ran into that one, didn't he?
He did run into that one. Emotions galore on Merseyside derby day. Thank you very much to Steve. One of the best. It is time for viewers on social media to leave us. But our Matchday Live build-up will continue here on LFC TV and All Red Video. If you're not yet a subscriber, you can find details on how to sign up online at liverpoolfc.com/watch. Coming up in the rest of our pre-match show, we'll touch back on that breathtaking night at Anfield on Wednesday against Atletico, of course. We'll turn our attention to the Blues, plus we'll hear from Dom Soboslai, who starts today. Just before kick-off, Steve and Aldo will guide you through all the action with our live audio commentary. So lots and lots to look forward to, and of course we'll be back after full-time with the pitch-side review of all that happens here at Anfield. The post-match show also available to listen to in the reaction on the club's official podcast platform, and you can watch the full game later this evening on LFC TV and Red Video. That's from 6. And look out for Inside Anfield 2, which takes you behind the scenes of events here at Anfield today. That'll be on Facebook and YouTube on Monday.
A way that they want it to be right now. So
you mean they were transitional in a dangerous way, as opposed to the way he consolidated them was dangerous?
yes. So under Unai Emery in those late Emery days, they were just getting hit on the break almost every single game. Freddie Ljungberg highlighted it when he was interim head coach, and then Mikel Arteta did the same as soon as he walked through the door as an area to address. And they did that with, after lockdown, moving to 3 at the back, which got them the FA Cup final win against Chelsea. And then from there, there was a very sticky spell before we get to Project Youth in, I'd say, Boxing Day 2020, when Emile Smith-Rowe was given his first Premier League start under Mikel Arteta. And I have to mention him and Bukayo Saka, because not doing so would be a disservice to both of them in the role that they played for the Arsenal that we're seeing today, I feel.
Absolutely.
At that moment, they just gave an injection of creativity that was lacking. So a number 10 and a winger who were able to knit things together.
Yeah. They were the first real sign of a new beginning, weren't they?
100%. And I think a lot of Arsenal fans still hold a special place in their heart for Smith Rowe, even though he's at Fulham. And then in the summer of 2021, all of those signings were under the age of 23. So Martin Ødegaard, Ben White, Takehiro Tomiyasu, and Aaron Ramsdale, who all again gave another push to help Arsenal get back into Europe in that season. And I just wanted to include that Granit Xhaka left 8 arc as well in the spring, because I think it's a really important prelude to what happened in the summer of 2022. But with Xhaka, I just thought it's really important to express the freedom he got in that role and what it was able to provide Arsenal, because they were able to string a lot more comprehensive attacks together with him there.
Yeah. Okay, City evolution, John?
Yeah, I think what we see from the beginning parts of Arteta's time is consolidation. That's why we call it consolidation. And then when he gets the team to a level where he's happy with, he starts trying to find ways of injecting, maybe improving the in-possession side in particular, which culminates in the summer of 2022, where they sign Alex Zinchenko, they sign Gabriel Jesus.
Which is 3 years in, we should say as well, right?
Yeah.
It's not like it didn't start, it wasn't right at the beginning of his tenure.
Yeah, of course. And I think by this point, they are much better at controlling games without the ball. Now they want to start controlling games with the ball. So we start seeing inverting fullbacks at that point. We see Gabriel Jesus being used as a false 9. So what we see then, I guess, is just a lot more modern version of football at Arsenal in that period. And, you know, it's incredibly successful. In that 22-23 season, Arsenal top of the league for like, I'm sorry if this is traumatic, but they were top of the league for a very long time until the end when City actually came back to beat them. And that culminates in this City loss on 26th of April 2023 at the end of that season, which I think becomes a bit of a sort of watershed moment for Mikel Arteta in terms of the next evolution of Arsenal. It's interesting because we see these kind of events happening, I think, for Arteta, where something happens in a game and he realises that the team needs to evolve. But in this one, it was the fact that we can see Rob Holding on the image here. William Saliba is injured and what Arteta does is basically bring in Holding and they play the same way, right? They just play the same aggressive way, and they the first goal in that game always stands out in my mind because essentially what happens is that Ederson plays a really poor pass to John Stones and Arsenal are pressing incredibly high up into the corner. John Stones just has to turn and go long, goes to Erling Haaland, who plays a pass to Kevin De Bruyne, who runs into space and they score. And it's like Arsenal were playing really aggressively, but they didn't have the ability to back up the aggression of the press with the quality of players in the back line. So I think that was a really important moment for Arteta.
That whole month, really, because I think Arsenal drew 3 games before they got to the Etihad that day. So they were kind of sleepwalking into it anyway. And I think when we talk about evolution, we're talking about the evolution of Arsenal as a team, but also Mikel Arteta as a manager. And I think in that moment, he didn't really have the trust in the players like, say, Jakob Kivior, who just signed in the January. He ended the season playing Jakob Kivior instead of Rob Holding because he did have that recovery pace, also really good on the ball. But at that point, he hadn't, I guess, taken the leap to do so. And I think that really cost him as well. And we've seen in the years since that he's addressed those issues as well as the more physical ones that John will touch on.
Yeah, so that brings us to the next stage in the evolution, which is the summer 2023, where we see him signing players like Declan Rice, Kai Havertz.
The physical evolution.
The physical evolution.
Mine's next year, I think.
You got to lock in, actually. There's a great lock in, September to December this year.
But I think that what's interesting about the next period is that Arsenal then definitely do lean into being the best out of possession side in the world. And, you know, as we've seen over the last few seasons, that can get you so far, but does it get you far enough? So I think that informs the next phase where this is headed.
The next phase, John? What's interesting, I think, you know, from everything you've said here, is that every time Arteta has made a change, he's generally reacting to solve some kind of problem. So if he's evolving now, what do you think the problems are now?
Well, I think there are 3 main problems that I think all Arsenal fans would say have been an issue over the last few seasons. The first of those I think we should talk about is a lack of depth, which we've already talked about as being sort of a catalyst for the last evolution. But if you look at the teams that Arteta has generally put out, he's probably over-relied on starting 11s because he hasn't had the ability to bring players off the bench at the same sort of quality level that he would want to maintain the level he wants to hit.
And therefore key injuries.
Yeah, exactly. So last season injuries were a really big issue. So Martin Odegaard was injured for a lot of last season. So was Kai Havertz, so was Bukayo Saka. And when they lose those players, the players who are coming in just aren't at the same level. And so you get two very different Arsenals. So clearly lack of depth has been a problem that needs to be fixed. And I think a big part of this window was about fixing that problem. Yeah. The other thing I think is an over-reliance on the right-hand side, because all of the best players are on that side, right? So you would have Saka and Odegaard on that side, and then most of the fullbacks, the more progressive fullbacks, are on the right-hand side for Arsenal there.
So problem two is lack of threat on the left-hand side.
That's right. So that raises a question. Well, if a team knows that you're only dangerous really coming down one side, then you can overload on that side and know that you're not going to suddenly have a switch of play and have problems caused elsewhere.
And problem three?
Problem three is, I think, dropping points against teams that they really shouldn't. So this is from last season, this is on the board right now, where I've just highlighted everyone who isn't in the big eight, if that exists as a denominator. But these are teams that you would think that Arsenal would largely have to be beating. Now, there's a few outliers here. I mean, this Brighton game is the Brighton infamous red card game, so you can see possession down at 36. And then I think with Bournemouth, a bit of an outlier because Arsenal possession is around 50-50 with Bournemouth in both of those games. But
that's another red card game as well.
John, don't forget about the red card game.
It's true.
Come on.
Sorry.
It's outrageous. We must mention red cards.
But not both Bournemouth games are red cards games, and we can see 51 possessions.
Yeah, that's true. That's
true. Art says it's true.
But for most of the other games here, we can see that these are games where Arsenal have a lot of possession of the ball, and they aren't able to end up taking all 3 points. You know, that becomes a bit of an ongoing problem where, because Arsenal want to play in this controlled way, they end up sort of territorially dominating opponents, so squeezing them deep into their own half, creating a low block that they then have to break down, and then because they've lent into the physicality side of things, they end up sort of falling back into their set piece dominance, right? So you have a lot of sort of open play set pieces, almost with crosses being swung in and trying to generate upside in that way. So I think the third issue here then is, how do we start being more dangerous against these teams? How do we generate chances against teams that, if you give them the opportunity, will sink into a low block and make it hard for you?
With this, just looking at the Fulham game as well, I think it's a really good example of, in these games last season, Arsenal then became very reliant on the margins, and the margins were so small. And in that Fulham game, I think there was a very late cross, Martinelli to Saka, that Saka finished and scored. But Martinelli was offside in the build-up by maybe like half a metre. And you don't want to be in a situation where you're getting to the 90th minute of those games relying on the smallest of margins to go your way. Yeah. So that's another area where you're playing against sides where, I guess, people expect you to win, but you need to do the work to make sure the margins are as wide as possible.
Okay, well, those are the 3 problems that we all agree that Arsenal have. Let's see if Arteta's changes this season can impact any of those. Going back to problem number 1, which was the lack of depth, let's hear now from Sam Tighe.
Welcome to What's Changed, presented by Boyle Sports. Arsenal's attack has levelled up this season. Mikel Arteta's new signings have added quality, depth and variety to the forward line. But the big question is, will these changes be the difference when it comes to winning trophies? In the last 2 full seasons, more than 40% of Arsenal's attacks have come down the right side. That's because Bukayo Saka and Martin Odegaard play here, while Saka's connection with Ben White is very strong. But injuries in 2025 have proved Arsenal need more options in this area. Enter Noni Madueke. He was exceptional against Nottingham Forest, creating chances, dribbling around defenders and working back defensively. His ability to cut inward or take the outside lane and hit the byline make him a more natural fit to back up Saka than anyone Arteta could call upon last season. Also, signing Abera Eza has added a different dimension to Arsenal's left flank. His ability to come inside and conduct play feels very different to Gabriel Martinelli's skill set, which is centred on speed and direct runs. With the help of Ricardo Calafiori surging forward, the Gunners can now run the game down their left flank if needed, bringing a welcome balance to the attack. All of this, in addition to new striker Victor Gyökeres' natural eye for goal, makes Arsenal's attack stronger, deeper and more capable of sustaining a trophy chase.
Hey, thanks, Sam. Well, Sam mentioned Eberechi Eze there, who's a player that I know that you're particularly fond of.
Yeah, I mean, It's been life-changing. I mean, last time we were on in the summer, obviously, the links had just kind of started bubbling.
Yeah.
And thankfully, they were able to get it over the line. I think being at the Nottingham Forest game, I know this is a very tactics-heavy show, but just the vibe, I think it was transformational. And within the first couple of minutes, shoulder drops, I mean, the reaction inside the stadium said it all. But also, I just think the ability he has one-on-one, it makes a massive difference because Arsenal have been lacking that on the left in particular for years now. And I think when you have someone with that individual brilliance, it can just mean that in some instances, whatever an opposition has planned for you, it just takes that off the table. And I think that's such a big improvement to what Arsenal had on that side. And then, as we mentioned earlier, it's not just a massive change. So you still have Calafiori rolling inside, or maybe he'll stay a bit deeper and play those long balls in behind like he did for Eze's assist for Gyökeres. So I think it just, gives Arsenal a lot of different dimensions while
you said the other night that you were surprised at Alexander Isak's fitness, so what are you thinking in terms of him being able to start this weekend, even though obviously you did tell us as well that he won't play the full 90 minutes?
No, and I don't think I tell the media a lot the day before the game how we start the game. So we had recovery yesterday. Actually, we're going to train this afternoon. So first of all, we have to see how they all feel. What I do know is that Alex did feel his body more maybe than ever before after the 60-minute he played. So let's see how he recovered, how he's recovered today, and then we're going to think about the lineup mainly today, and you will hear it then tomorrow.
It's a change to the routine as well because of the game on Wednesday. You're obviously training later today because you usually train a bit earlier than that. He wasn't thinking.
That has all to do with the early kickoff on Saturday. That we give them a little bit of extra time to recover, and one of the ways to recover really well is sleep, as we all know. So we had to play this week 3 games, which is something we have to do a lot. But it's not many times that you have to do this in 7 days. So Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday is not a schedule you see a lot. But it is what it is, and we play tomorrow, 12:30 kickoff.
Because when Alexander is fully match sharp, obviously Hugo Ekitike can play as a number 9 as well. What are you thinking is the best way to fit both of them into the side? Would you ever consider playing both of them together as a strike partnership, or are you thinking Hugo would play more from the left if you're going to play both of them together?
Yeah, I consider, of course, because you consider many things, and it depends always on how well they are doing. So if both of them are in the best form of their life, you even consider more of playing them together. But it's also quite clear that we have a certain structure which has mainly been 4-3-3, playing with 3 midfielders, but the amount of time, the end phase of the game, we've played with 2 9s. That has happened quite a lot as well. Hugo can indeed also play from the left, different than Cody or Rio do this. So we have, and that's the good thing about our squad, we have multiple options, but first of all they all have to still fit for me to have these options, and if some of them are not fit, we might have to use them both in a 4-4-2, or that all depends on the form of them and how many players we have available, because I think maybe all of them are fit now, and I think I can choose between 21 players. So that's quite normal, isn't it? It's not that it's far too much.
And the Merseyside derby, how do you see the City rivalry with Everton? How do you compare as well the current Everton with the Everton that you faced last season?
No, when we faced them last season, they had a very good spell as well, and it wasn't a spell because they just kept on going with that. And into this season again, also, I think they made some good signings. One of them is, of course, a player on loan that was worth 100 million in the past, not maybe still, but someone paid 100 million for him. And he's doing so well for them, Jack Grealish. So, good team. Indeed, there is rivalry, but what I also liked, and I want to emphasize in this moment maybe on that as well, what they did when Diogo passed away, coming to Anfield, and be there. I think was the captain, and a few, and of course they showed their respect on sports director to sports director and all these kind of things. So. In these moments of times, it's so nice to see that in those tragedies, the rivalry is still there, but the respect towards both is also there. So looking forward to the game tomorrow, because it's every Anfield game is special, but this derby is even more special.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I know obviously the rivalry and respect is always there between these two teams, but I just wonder how you felt being part of this fixture last season, and how it differed maybe to other atmospheres and other rivalries that you felt before in your career.
No, it differed, if that is the right English words to use. What I like so much here in England is that no matter how much rivalry there is between us and Everton, or between us and United, or if we're going to go to Newcastle with the whole Isaac story going on, the fans can just be together. So when we arrived at Newcastle, I saw 10 Liverpool shirts, and I saw many Newcastle shirts, by the way, but the 10 Liverpool shirts could just stand in between the Newcastle fans. That is impossible in Holland. So that is something really special what you have over here now, and I hope you can keep this for many years to come. So yes, there's rivalry. Yes, both fans are so passionate for their own teams, but they respect each other as well. And that for me is the main difference, because if Ajax plays against Feyenoord, away fans are not allowed anymore. So that tells you how terrible that situation is. So yes, and it makes it so much nicer if both fans are there. And that's what's going to happen tomorrow, and I hope that this is going to continue for as long as football is played here in England.
Obviously last season it was all first, it was the first Merseyside derby, it was the first Merseyside derby at Anfield for you. This time around it's slightly different, so have you had a chance to sort of feel the build-up in the city to see how people react to this game? Is it a bit different in that way?
Honest answer is no, I haven't seen this, because we had to play Wednesday evening, and that was quite an important game for us as well, and a special game. So then yesterday we did some recovery, you go home, watch a few Champions League games, and now I'm sitting here in front of you. So no, you don't feel this because you don't come into the city and feel what is happening, but we all know how special this game is, and the moment we walk into the stadium tomorrow, or when we arrive with the bus, those are the moments you truly feel what it means to the fans. But we don't even need that moment to understand how important this game is.
Hi Arne, how do you go about preparing? It looks like you'll have a few derby debutants in this game tomorrow, so how do you go about preparing your players who haven't played in a Merseyside derby for this sort of occasion that maybe even the intensity took you by surprise when you became part of the Liverpool setup, because it is different, isn't it? I mean, do you get the players to instruct their colleagues, or is it advice from you?
Nah, I've experienced the away game as something different than I've experienced before in all the other away games we've played. But I think Newcastle away felt for me similar as Everton away last season. So it's not for the first time these players play this game, and for the new ones it's not for the first time they play in circumstances where there's a lot of rivalry, where there's a lot of intensity in the game, a lot of tackles being made. So but I think yes, the focus should also be on the rivalry, but it should also be on what we need to do to win that game, and that is being intense, that is winning the duels, but that's definitely also going to be playing good on the ball and playing good when we don't have the ball, be intense. And it's again going to be a difficult game because they have many good players, I don't know exactly what they're going to do. Is it going to be like last season when we faced them, a lot of long balls, where this season I've seen them playing out from the back many times really well. Maybe also because they brought in some very talented and good players that can play both styles. So we have to prepare them for that, and of course maybe Virgil, Mo, these kind of players will tell the new ones what they can expect, but we are not talking about rookies, and it's not like these players play the first time in a full stadium or in the first time in these kind of games. If you talk about Florian, he's played so many special games in his career already that, and I can come up with all the others as well, that yes, it's special, but it's not miles off other special games they've played.
Mo Salah's been breaking records for Liverpool. He's been phenomenal since the day he walked through the door, and he contributes with goals and assists even when he's not at his best. But you could sense maybe the first few games of the season an element of frustration from Mo that he wasn't able to get at his best. But I think we saw maybe for the first time this season he was beginning to sparkle and contribute in an all-round sense. How encouraged are you by that, and what do you think that could maybe add in the coming weeks?
Now, for me, when you are a great player, you still attribute to the team if you don't play well. So many players can attribute goals or assists when they play well, but not a lot of them can attribute something to the team when they don't play well. And with attribute, I mean goals and assists, so they can all always give their work rate. But this is what stands out with Mo, I think, even, and which is normal, especially if you're a winger. It's so difficult to always be creative or always be the player he was at Atletico Madrid. But if he's not that player, which is normal, then he still has goals and assists. And I think that is why the fans love him so much and why he's so highly regarded and respected. Because a lot of players can play good when the team plays good or when they play good themselves, but not a lot can do special things when they are not at their best. And that is what he can, and that's what makes him so special, I think. But I prefer to see him like he was in the Atletico game. He was very much involved. That was also very positive. So the Newcastle game, there was hardly ball in play, so it was difficult for every player to be special. But now we played so many balls to him. He was so much involved, touched the ball so many times. Florian find him so many times. So it was that was a joy to watch, to see him like that. But if we don't see him like that, he's still able to score goals, and that's what makes him special, I think.
Rob? The two themes of the season have been scoring late goals and conceding 2-0 leads and 2-0. I'm just wondering, on that respect, with conceding the goals, have you seen any similarities between each of those occasions, or are they all individually different in terms of getting in a position where you're so strong and then letting it slip?
Yeah. Nah. We've only played 5 games, so then it's difficult to see something for the long term in it. So yes, we've twice we gave away a 2-0 lead. Completely different when you see the goals. Against Bournemouth we were too open maybe. We missed Ryan and that position in the midfield, so they could just go all the way to our goal and score 2 counter-attacking goals. I don't think Atletico scored 2 counter goals, 2 goals from transition. So you cannot compare that, but it's it's not ideal that if you have a 2-0 lead twice we gave it away. So this is something we definitely have to improve. As many other things we have to improve. But the positive thing about it is also that then if we feel the urgency again, we're able to score a goal. But this is definitely something we talk about, that a 2-0 lead, because you can run out of energy or run out of steam towards the end of the season if you every game mentally and physically have to go all the way to the end to win a game of football. So it's never a good idea to keep on doing this, but yeah, if we need it, I still hope we can do it.
Do you think then when you get to, when you said gets 2-0 up, there's almost an element of trying to protect themselves or just manage the situation rather than, I know you can go on and score more goals, but at 2-0, is there a risk that I think that it's done, it would be something.
Yeah, that's funny that you say so, because we got criticised a bit that when we were 2-0 up against Bournemouth, we were still attacking with 12 players in the 18-yard box of the other team. So that tells you that we don't back off, we don't go slower, we just keep on going. And I think that's why we always play at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock for the Champions League and never at 6:45, because everybody wants to look Liverpool, because it's so nice to see them play. They always keep on going. We always keep on going, and they in the past, by the way, as well. With they, I mean Liverpool. And there was the same against Atletico Madrid. We created so many chances against Madrid compared to other games we played this season, that we were not trying to keep the lead. We were trying to make it 3-1 or trying to make it 3-0. And so yeah, maybe we should in some moments be a bit more composed or calm. But I like that mentality that we have.
Hi, Arne. We spoke last season a few times about how us in the media can be a bit too fixated on results in comparison to performances. But when there are things that aren't quite as they should be, such as the 2-0 leads, do you find it somehow easier to be perhaps critical with your players internally at least, when the results are still coming?
No, I don't think media is too fixed on that. I think everyone in football is, fans, players, we're all fixed on results, because we don't have results, then next week someone else is sitting here. So that's maybe a bit too early. But this is how the industry works, so that's not only the media. But it does definitely help that if you still win games, that you can then also point out things that you have to improve. That 9 out of 10 times works better than when you lose many games of football and you're constantly telling them what they have to improve. So mainly what you do as a manager is if you lose games, then you try to emphasize on the positives as well, where if you lose games you also emphasize on the positive, but you definitely also tell them what you have to improve. So yeah, it's I prefer the situation of winning the games and then pointing out that we can still improve things compared to losing games and being positive.
Well, just check Kes, John, Stephen, back in the break.
In the
break, in the squad.
In the break?
In the break. Back in the break.
Oh, nice. Is that a Scouse word? English. English word. Okay. He's back in the fray. Yeah. In the squad, I would say.
Any more for the breakout? No. Next one.
Cheers, Arne. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the TalkSport Goals preview show, brought to you by Final One Standing is new from William Hill, 18+, gambleaware.org. I'm Sam Millard, today joined by Sam Norris from William Hill. Sam, good to have you on the show. Let's start with Final One Standing, shall we? It's getting exciting. A hard weekend this weekend to predict. Do you know from the original start of the season how many people are left in? There's not too many, is there?
Yeah, so we had, I think, just shy of 300,000 players in the big 500k jackpot league for the big money. And we've really thinned the field. We've got like kind of 4 figures left. There's still a few thousand left to play for at big money. And then, of course, we've got players who are perhaps alive in multiple leagues with a chance to really net some serious cash. We had the 200 grand reloaded jackpot straight out the international break. You could play that and the 500k. So we've got people who are alive in both of those leagues. But yeah, there will be a few who are just starting to dream of the $500,000 or at least a share of it by this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Arsenal, Man City this weekend, United, Chelsea this weekend, I've already heard a few people talking about how tough it is this weekend to maybe pick a team. So yeah, good luck to everyone doing Final One Standing. Let's get then into the Premier League games this weekend. We start with a good one, Liverpool versus Everton. Liverpool 4 wins and 4 in the league, 100% record. They have lost just 1, Liverpool, of their last 28 home games against Everton, who have had a decent start to the season, 7 points from 4, and Everton have won 6 of their last 11 away games on the road. So they're travelling well under David Moyes. I reckon, Sam, a popular market for this game will be people backing maybe Liverpool to score 80+ minutes.
Yeah, it feels like that as well. I mean, I can't tell you how bad it is from a bookmaker point of view to have such a popular favourite like Liverpool score in the last minute against Burnley and then do it again against Atleti just a few days later. I know we won't get too much sympathy from the punters, but heartbreaking stuff that when we thought we were going to get a result.
Put the violins away, Sam, come on.
I know, I will. Look, Liverpool odds on, as you might imagine, at 4-9. As you said, they've made a perfect start to the season. They've not been in top gear as of yet, not firing all cylinders, but it's a tried and tested cliche, the very best teams win even when they're not at their best. That's what Liverpool have been doing. They're 4-9 favourites going into this. As you mentioned, they've got a wonderful record at Anfield in this fixture. Everton priced up at 11-2 and the draw 7-2. But we'd probably give Everton more of a chance than we thought we were going to at this stage of the season. Midway through the summer, they look like they could be in a bit of trouble, but they look like they might be a side. Still early days of the season, isn't it? But they might, even challenge for a top 10, top 8 spot this season. I think perhaps the bet's having the game though, and I know this has got a bit of a reputation as a friendly derby, but there's been more red cards in this fixture than any other Premier League fixture, helped along by the fact that they've played each other so much. It's 4-1 for a red this time around, and I think that might be an all right way into the game, with Everton looking better than we expected perhaps, and Liverpool, hard to criticise them when they've won all their games, but perhaps not looking quite as good as they were. Wasn't a great debut for Isak in midweek, but he's popular in the goal scorer markets already. He's 10-11 any time, and it is a game that will have an epic boost on as well come the weekend. We landed Gyökeres last week, that was even money from 1-5. Had another one go in midweek thanks to impact sub, so yeah, check back for a big boost on this game. But I think the red at 4-1 might be interesting.
Yeah, good stuff, Sam. That's the 12:30 game to our 3 o'clock games. Brighton Spurs is the one that jumps out to me. Spurs, 3 wins from 4 in the league, beating Villarreal in the Champions League in the week. Brighton, inconsistent, winning 1, drawing 1, losing 2. Brighton have lost just 1 of their last 10 home league games and did do the double over Spurs last season. I'm intrigued to know, Sam, how William Hill have priced this game up. I think this is a hard one to call.
Yeah, I was the same as you. This is a really funny one to predict, I think. Brighton, with the strength of home advantage, in my view, quite short. They're 5-4 to get the better of Spurs here, over 19-10, with the draw price up at 5-2. As you said, did the double over Spurs last season. I mean, they've already beaten Manchester City this season, Brighton, so we know what they can do on their day. But I think there will be a few punters just eyeballing that 19-10 for Spurs and thinking that might be quite a big price. They feel like a team this season, Spurs, that you want to avoid when they're short and maybe get involved when they're a bigger price, because I think they are going to get turned over at short odds a few times this season. But I think, like we've already seen against Man City, I think they're going to pop up and surprise people on a number of occasions as well. I think they're big at 19-10. Get why Brighton are favourites, but I think there's a lot between the two in the betting.
With that then, I think I might sit on the fence and go for the draw of 5-2. That might be standing out for me. So yeah, Brighton Spurs will be an intriguing game. Burnley v Forest. Feels like a big game for Ange already, doesn't it? Forest have lost back-to-back games under Ange. Arsenal in the league last Saturday, Swansea in the Carabao Cup, despite being 2-0 up. Burnley have the highest expected goals against of any Premier League team this season, and these fixtures normally have goals in them in 6 of the last 7 meetings. Both sides have scored. Perhaps both teams to score and Forest to win is a bet that I like here, Sam?
I could definitely see both teams to score. Yeah, that's 3-4. The way Ange Postecoglou sets his sides up is just always conducive for this market. I'm going to take you on though and go for Burnley here. Okay. It's a good point you make about the expected goals against, but they were really unlucky not to get anything against Liverpool. Really unlucky not to get anything against United. I think they keep putting in good performances like that. The luck is going to turn at some stage. They're 11-5 at home. You're not going to get a chance to back too many Premier League teams at north of 2-1 on home soil this season. And you're getting an opportunity to take on a Forest side who've lost their last 2 Premier League games 3-0. And obviously the manner of the defeat in midweek, throwing away the 2-goal lead against Swansea. So, yeah, I think Burnley have put in 2 really good performances, admittedly in defeat the last twice. I think they might get the rub of the green this time around. And I think they're a big price at 11-5. But, yeah, you make a really good point with the both teams to score there. And I do just think Ange Postecoglou's side, it feels like both teams to score is always around the corner. It's 16-5 Forest win with both teams to score, 11-2 Burnley win and both teams to score. We'll agree on the BTTS. Yeah.
Look at us with our big BRAF predictions here this morning, picking a Forest game to have both teams to score. While we mentioned Burnley, have we seen much change since last weekend on relegation markets?
Not an enormous shift in the betting, no, because like I said, even though Burnley have turned in two very sort of spirited performances, they have lost both the games, and ultimately, you know, as we know, you've got to put actual points on a board. So they're still the most likely team to go down in our book at 4-11. Wolves are odds on at 4-6, and Sunderland kind of third in the market. They are also trading at a pretty sure price. They're even money, not quite odds on at the moment. And Leeds the outsiders at 13-8. We'll get to that Leeds Wolves game in a moment, but that could have a big impact on the relegation.
Well, you know what, let's go then straight, shall we, to Wolves Leeds. Wolves have lost each of their first 4 games in the league for the first time in their history. Leeds have 4 points on their return to the Premier League. Not bad on paper, but failed to score since the opening day of the season. League's Premier League games this season
Welcome to our audio.
One change as well to the side that drew 0-0 with Aston Villa last weekend. Tim Irabugnum drops to the bench and he's replaced by the fit again Vitaly Mikalenko. So it's Pickford in goal, then O'Brien, Tarkowski, Keane, Mikalenko, Gay, Garner and Dye, Dewsbury Hall, Grealish and Beto. A 12:30 start then for the Merseyside derby. It's Liverpool against Everton. Well, we're not far away from kick-off and the opening Merseyside derby of the season. Anfield is the venue for Liverpool against Everton and a 12:30 kick-off. As far as the team news is concerned, well, Arne Slot has made one change to the Liverpool side that beat Burnley last weekend, with Conor Bradley coming in at right back, and it's Florian Wirtz who drops to the bench. So Liverpool with Alisson in goal, Bradley, Canate, Van Dijk and Kirkez, Gravenberch, Soboslai, McAllister, Gakpo, Salah and Ekitike, with Alexander Isak named on the bench. Well, a warm welcome along to Off-Tube Studio commentary of this afternoon's Merseyside derby clash at Anfield. We're just about ready to get underway, and it is Everton who kick off, kicking towards the Kop end in the first half and launch a long ball over the top for Grealish to chase, which he can't quite get to. And it'll go out of play for Liverpool, throwing in line with the edge of their own penalty area. Warren Ashurst and James Smedley to take you through this Off-Tube Studio commentary. And we'll get James's early thoughts in a moment. I'll just remind you of the team news when we get a break in play. But for the moment, Liverpool trying to play it out from the back as McAllister has it taken off his toes by Ndiaye. And now it's back with Tarkowski, who plays a long ball over the top looking for Beto, but he is well shackled by Canate. Takes one bounce and goes through to Alisson, who starts in goal again for Liverpool. A back four today of Bradley, Canate, Van Dijk and Kirkez. Gravenberch and McAllister as the kind of holding central midfielders, with Soboslai in front of them, and Salah on one side, Gakpo on the other, and Ekitike through the middle as he gets the nod ahead of Isak, who of course started in the Champions League win over Atletico Madrid in midweek. As for Everton, it's Pickford in goal, a back four of Mikalenko, Keane, Tarkowski and O'Brien. Garner and Gay are the midfielders, with Dewsbury Hall just in front of them, and Dye on one side, Grealish on the other, and Beto through the middle as Virgil van Dijk picks up the ball on the halfway line, plays a long ball over the top for Gakpo, but it's going to skid out of play for a goal kick. I think there's quite a lot of optimism for the first time in a while, James, that Everton fans feel it gets something out of this today.
Well, absolutely. David Moyes has sort of revitalised this Everton side. They've had a fantastic start to the season. He said in a presser recently that we wanted to push the top half of the table back to where he thinks, and many of other Everton fans think, they do indeed belong. They'll come into this game, yes, being the away side, having only won at Anfield once in the last 25 years, but with a certain amount of optimism, as you say, Warren. They'll want to get on the front foot, but also be careful not to concede too many chances. They'll be very well aware how late Liverpool tend to leave things so far this season, having scored plenty of goals in the last 10 minutes of the season so far. So Liverpool, they'll know they need to be patient to unlock this Everton side, but they'll be coming into it with a lot of optimism.
Here's Ekitike, gets it away from Idrissa Gueye and does well to play it out to Salah on the right-hand side. Salah swings a left-footed ball in, headed away by Keane, and then there's a coming together on the edge of the penalty area. Bradley guilty of a foul on Garner. And referee, who is Darren England today, gives Everton the free kick. As James alluded to there, Everton have not had a lot of success at Anfield in recent times, and certainly David Moyes hasn't. This is his 23rd visit as a manager to Anfield and is yet to win a game during his time in charge of Everton, Manchester United and West Ham. As the ball is launched long by Pickford downfield, real tussle going on between Beto and Canate, and the ball misses both of them and goes all the way through to Alisson. Liverpool, of course, the only team in the Premier League still with a 100% record, has looked in doubt over the last 2 or 3 games, to be honest with you. Late winner, of course, at Burnley last weekend, and prior to the international break, a screamer from Soboslai saw off Arsenal. As the ball's played down the line towards Kirkes, does well to get away from Ndiaye, up towards the edge of the Everton penalty area, swings the ball in left-footed, too close to Pickford, and probably not really got his head up in time there, Kirkes, because there weren't really many red shirts to aim for.
I think we're surprised how much it opened up for him ahead of him there, Kirkes, because Ndiaye is on his back and almost gives away a free kick. Kirkes probably could go down, but I'm sure he's well aware now that going down easily is not going to be rewarded often by referees. He was booked for simulation last weekend, so we're well aware to stay on his feet. But yeah, you're right, he's not got a lot of options ahead of him. There's no winger overlapping him. Gakpo had made an inverted run, so in the end the cross is only option. It probably should have taken his time on the ball.
Keane plays a long diagonal ball from the back for Everton. Again, it's an intended long ball from the visitors, which has gone wrong on this occasion. Bounces out of play on the near side, and Liverpool have a throw-in on the edge of their own penalty area. Saw Everton at home to Aston Villa last week. They were the better team, clearly. Still just lacking that killer instinct you feel in front of goal at the moment. As Beto gets the nod again to lead the line today. Shrewsbury Hall lays it into the path of Ndiaye. Ndiaye's crowded out by two Liverpool players, but does well to get in between both of them. And Everton keep possession here down the right-hand side with Ndiaye on towards the run of Idrissa Gueye. Good challenge, not once but twice by Kirkes, who wins back possession for the home team. McAllister penned in the corner, tries to clear left-footed, and Gueye blocks it, goes out of play for a Liverpool throw-in. Just wonder whether Everton are still, well, I think it's fair to say, James, they are still missing at least another one or two attacking targets to strengthen the squad. Whether they'll look to do that in January, I suppose, may well be difficult for them. Always tends to be in the January transfer window, but they clearly still need another striker.
Yeah, certainly. They signed Tieno Barry from Villarreal as Liverpool now come forward, but Liverpool now looking good.
Yeah, Salah towards the edge of their penalty area, plays it behind Bradley, who couldn't take it in his stride, and Everton are able to clear on the edge of the box. Grealish will run it up towards Beto. Beto in a real tussle with Konate, who is, some the Everton fans thought was holding on to him, but the referee says play on, and Liverpool will break forward with Gravenberch out to this left-hand side, and Gakpo on the edge of the penalty area. Cody Gakpo back to Gravenberch again, and now McAllister in a central position, 30 yards out. Kirkes on the left-hand side. Liverpool have lost the impetus of the move a little bit, but they still have possession as McAllister plays it on to Bradley. Bradley now down the right-hand side. Further right it goes to Salah. Salah will want to cut on his favoured left foot. Dinks the ball in towards Szoboszlai inside the penalty area. Szoboszlai lays it back to McAllister. And again, Liverpool just patiently building up. Ekitike out wide to Szoboszlai. And now back to McAllister. Everton trying to hold their line here and make sure that Liverpool don't get in behind as McAllister now plays it off the legs of Darren England. It will be a free kick or a non-contested drop ball, I should say, to Liverpool about 40 yards from goal. Liverpool will start again. Just feel that there was maybe a missed opportunity there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a little bit too patient, if anything, from Arne Slot's side. They are getting players forward in attack, but Everton can match that with bodies back in the box. They're crowding out the home side for the moment as Salah puts the ball into the box.
Yeah, comes off the top of Tarkowski's head. Chance for Gakpo at the back post, and he miskicks it, but he will keep the ball in play. Reacted really well to the miss kick and plays it back to Kirkes. Gakpo again down the left, takes on O'Brien. Still going Gakpo, cuts in field and plays it now into a central position in Konate. On towards Bradley. Bradley did well to control that because it was fired at him from 5 yards away, and now finds Van Dijk midway inside the Everton half, and Liverpool are camped in that half at the moment towards the Anfield Road end. It's with Bradley, little layoff into Ekitike. Ekitike does well to keep possession on the edge of the box, turns, needs an option, tries to thread it through to Bradley. Everton got a foot in and will look to break now with Grealish, and he's got an overlapping run from Garner if he can find him, but in the end Grealish tread on the ball and it went out of play on the far side for a Liverpool throw-in, and it may well be a sign of things to come in this first half that Everton are going to have to see out this pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. Jack Grealish, the Premier League Player of the Month for the start of the season, and able to keep that ball under control. He's got to do a little bit better to hold that play up and to relieve a bit of pressure, because Liverpool now win it back and again are just sat outside the Everton box. It's been a lot of pressure early on from the home side, but yet to really create that vital chance.
Szoboszlai on the right hand side, back towards Bradley. 7.5 minutes played of this off-tube studio commentary. Still Liverpool 0, Everton 0, as Van Dijk plays it out wide to Gakpo. Gakpo's going to have a run at O'Brien here. Comes back on his right foot, tries to play a 1-2 with Kirkes, almost came off, and Ndiaye does well though to intercept and plays a nice ball down the line for Beto to chase, but Konate's quick, gets across there ahead of the Everton number 9 and plays the ball back to his goalkeeper. But, well, Everton's ploy clearly is to try and soak up pressure and then hit Liverpool on the break as quick as they can. Might be a thankless task for long periods for Beto, but he's going to have to stay focused and hope that he gets the right ball.
Well, he's in for a really long afternoon, is the Everton number 9. There'll be a lot of chasing, loose balls, a pretty thankless task for him, but if he gets one of those balls right, it could be in behind, as it's dribbled out of play by Cody Gakpo up against O'Brien, who is somewhat of a man mountain for Everton at right back. He's a real physical presence, but he is there to get at if Gakpo can get in behind him with the 1-2 that he played moments ago with McAllister, just didn't quite come off.
Not really any opportunities of note to talk about so far, as Everton have their goal kick with 8.5 minutes on the clock, and Jordan Pickford has just pushed his back four up and said, I'm going to launch this long left-footed, and so the England international does exactly that. Clears it into the Liverpool half, where Canate misses the ball. Thankfully for him, Conor Bradley was clued up and came round the back to clear before Beto could get there. It's going to be an important battle that today, you feel, Beto against Canate. As the ball's thrown down the line towards Grealish. Was he fouled by Conor Bradley? Referee says no. Grealish can't quite believe it. Throws his hands up in the air to Darren England, but we'll see a replay of it again now. Bradley was very tight to Grealish. He's slightly fortunate, you have to say, Conor Bradley, to get away with that, because he was way too tight in the end.
It's one of those where I think everyone's aware how much Grealish likes to go down, but that one probably was a free kick, as Liverpool now come forward with Gakpo.
Gakpo inside the penalty area on his right foot, couldn't get the shot away. Idrissa Gueye was in his face quickly, and Gueye does well to play it down the right-hand channel for Dewsbury Hall. Here's Ndiaye, meanwhile, gets away from Gakpo, and Ndiaye does well, not once but twice. Gakpo did equally as well to get a foot in and slide the ball back to Canate. And Ndiaye stayed down temporarily, but he is back up on his feet now. Darren England happy to play on as Gravenberch goes over the halfway line. Finds Szoboszlai. Now out to the right-hand side, and Salah. Bradley's gone on the overlap. Salah dinks the ball in towards the middle. Finds Gravenberch, and there's the opening goal. 10 minutes on the clock, and what a finish from Ryan Gravenberch, who's been arguably Liverpool's best player so far this season. And he makes a brilliant run, latched onto the ball from Mo Salah, and it's a stunning right-footed finish into the far corner. 10 minutes played at Anfield, Liverpool lead 1-0.
Well, what a ball and what a finish, as you say, Warren. The pass from Salah inside, it's cute, it's deft, it's perfectly weighted for Ryan Gravenberch to strike on the half volley, loops it over Jordan Pickford, who could do nothing about it apart from pick the ball out of his own net. It's a fantastic goal for Liverpool. The first blood on Derby Day goes the way of the Reds.
Yeah, Everton were appealing for a foul in the build-up to Ndiaye, but you see the replay. Gakpo definitely got the ball on the sliding challenge. Great ball in from Salah, but there's still a lot of work to do for Gravenberch, because it bounces right in front of him and he hooks it right-footed. First time of asking, he knows he hasn't got time to take a touch, and he just hooks it into the far corner, and Pickford can get nowhere near it. It is right into the far side netting. Arne Slot punches the air in delight, and you have to say, it wouldn't necessarily say it's been coming, but obviously there's been a massive amount of pressure.
Well, there's only been one side in this opening 12 minutes, and that is Liverpool. They've had all the pressure in that Everton half. Just watching it back there, take nothing away from the ball from Salah, and obviously the finish as well from Ryan Gravenberch. The defending from Everton is absolutely woeful. Michael Keane gets dragged out about 10 yards from his centre-back position. He splits so far away from his captain, Tarkowski, and then when that cross comes in, Keane's in no man's land. It finds Gravenberch, and then there's no one around him to try and stop the incoming strike from the Dutchman. What a goal it is, though. As we keep mentioning, it's one of those goals where you just watch it back over and over again. It never gets any worse.
No, I tell you, you could play that over probably 100 times, that ball into the area, and I don't think he scores more than twice. It's absolutely perfect the way that he's hooked his shot into the far corner, and Liverpool have the advantage as Alisson inside his own penalty area hits the ball long right-footed downfield. Kirkes wins the header well. Ekitike into the path of Gakpo. They're on for another potential chance, but Ndiaye does really well to get back and take it off Gakpo, and then it's cleared by Mikalenko up towards Grealish on halfway, who miscontrols it, and it goes out of play for a Liverpool throw-in. He's cutting a bit of a frustrated figure here, Grealish, in the opening 12 minutes. He probably should have had a free kick down the other end earlier, as Garner slides in well on Gravenberch to temporarily win the ball back, but Van Dijk now will go back to Alisson, and probably Arne Slot will be saying, just keep the ball for the next 5 minutes or so, don't do anything silly.
Well, absolutely. You know, this fixture has had the most red cards in the last few years of any Premier League match, so I think both managers will be plenty aware that they need their players to keep a level head. That's always difficult when one of the sides scores an early goal, but you can see already Liverpool there with Gakpo racing for on goal. Gakpo should do a lot better and play that pass earlier. Yes, he doesn't get the shout that Njai's on his back, but even still he had the overlapping run of Ekitike, and if he plays that pass, that is probably a big chance for Liverpool to go 2-0 up. In the end though, that chance has gone, and now I think you're right, Warren, both sides need to just settle down and recollect. Everton will not want to concede another goal early on, otherwise it is basically game over away at Anfield. Liverpool though will want to avoid any sort of silly mistakes at the back. We've already seen the threat of Beto making runs in behind. He's yet to really touch the ball, is Everton's number 9, but the threat still remains. We just see another replay of the Gravenberch strike, and well, I'm not complaining.
No, different angle this time around. As the ball bounced just in front of him, it made it so awkward, and he had to get the perfect connection to hook it into the far corner, and that's exactly what he did. We've said Everton have struggled in terms of looking like a real attacking threat this season, but let's not forget the last away game that they played. They did score 3 times in a 3-2 win at Wolves, so certainly not game over yet in terms of David Moyes' men, but as James said, the last thing they want to do is concede another before half-time, and here come Liverpool again. McAllister, has he fouled Garner? Referee says play on, and McAllister still has it down the left-hand side. Everton weren't happy. Back it goes to Kirkes, back to McAllister again, and Liverpool just happy to keep possession and go back towards the halfway line here. As Van Dijk plays it into Konate, who's now midway inside the Everton half. Konate, wide it goes to Salah. Salah looking to see if another one of those dink balls over the top is on, and Bradley makes a run for him, but instead he plays it short to Soboslai, and now back to the halfway line in Konate. 14.5 minutes played. Liverpool 1, Everton 0 as McAllister has it forward towards Ekitike. His little layoff didn't quite work. Tarkowski was in there quickly, and now O'Brien should clear and does, right-footed up towards Beto. There's a huge gap though, James, at the moment, isn't there? Even if Beto wins that ball, there's nobody within 30 yards of him in a blue jersey.
No, and the line from Liverpool is so high, with Van Dijk and Konate almost stepping up to the halfway line. Even if, as you say, Beto does win the flick on header, because Njai and Grealish are having to help out defensively, there are no runners either side of him. Now Liverpool come forward once again.
Yeah, Salah on the edge of the Everton penalty area. Salah still going in towards Soboslai with a shot headed away by Tarkowski before it could get to Pickford. I think the England keeper would have saved it, but Tarkowski didn't want to take any chances and heads it out of play. Throw in taken quickly. Back to Gravenberch. Now Soboslai again. Soboslai gets the 1-2 from Gravenberch. Liverpool will pick it up on the edge of the penalty area with Salah. Salah with a shot just over the crossbar, inches wide. And really, you will feel he should have probably hit the target. It came about because Everton made an absolute calamity of clearing the ball. Mykolenko and one of his teammates ran into each other. It fell to Salah. Well, he is inches away from making it 2-0.
He is, but I think he's got to hit the target because he doesn't have an Everton player near him within about a 5-yard radius. It's a left-footed strike. It suits him perfectly. It falls perfectly into that far corner, almost doing a little bit too much to beat Jordan Pickford, who wouldn't have got there even if it was another 30 centimetres downwards and further in towards the back of the net. But Everton, a bit of reprieve now, a goal kick for Pickford. They go along with it, and Beto again in no man's land won't win it. It's far too easy for Liverpool at the moment, and especially that back line.
Wasn't a great ball from Conor Bradley back towards Konate. Alisson has to dash out of his area to clear, only as far as Grealish, and then the ball comes off the legs of Conor Bradley and goes out of play for an Everton throw-in, 25 yards from their own goal. We've only had 16.5 minutes. It feels like we've played about half an hour already because it has been helter-skelter, 100 miles an hour as ever as a Merseyside derby. A little bit of drizzle on Merseyside at the moment. It's only adding to the excitement. The ball skidding off the surface. 73% possession for Liverpool to 27 for Everton so far, as Tarkowski's latest ball over the top is overhit and bounces straight into the arms of Alisson Becker, who plays it short now to Van Dijk on the edge of the penalty area. 4 games at 3 o'clock to look forward to in the Premier League today. We've also got a 5:30 kick-off and an 8 o'clock game. The 5:30 match is Manchester United at home to Chelsea, and this evening it's a West London derby between Fulham and Brentford. Here is Virgil van Dijk on the edge of his own box. Nobody in a blue jersey coming to close him down, so he can take as long as he wants, and he finds Soboslai. Tells Soboslai to turn that way to the right-hand side. Instead he gives it back to Van Dijk. Van Dijk under pressure from Dewsbury Hall goes back to his keeper, and the first thing he says is, why did you not turn and go the other way to Soboslai? And that was possibly a little bit of frustration from Van Dijk because he was put under instant pressure, but he does have it back. Plays it into Szoboszlai, turns away well in the centre circle, on towards Ekitike, running towards the edge of the penalty area. Ekitike looked like he might have been brought down, but referee Darren England said it's a decent challenge from Garner, and then Grealish falls over on the far side. Again, referee says nothing doing. No, he does now eventually give a free kick, where it looked like Conor Bradley was going to take the throw. Decides it's an Everton free kick midway inside their own half.
Yeah, I think the referee gets both of those challenges correct. The challenge from Garner on Ekitike, I think a fair one, sliding in with his right boot, just comes across, not directly in behind the number 22, and wins the ball cleanly without taking much of the man until the aftermath. That challenge there from Bradley, I think again, overexerts himself on Grealish off the ball. There was an earlier one about 10 minutes ago on Grealish, which wasn't given as a free kick, so maybe a question of consistency from Darren England, the referee, so far this afternoon, but certainly I think a free kick. But it doesn't matter, because Everton give it away straight away, and again, Liverpool back on the front foot.
It's with Salah, plays it down the line towards Bradley, who's on the edge of the Everton penalty area. Back to Salah again, and now Szoboszlai into the feet of Gravenberch. Gravenberch looking for an option, eventually has to play it short to Van Dijk. Now out wide this left-hand side in Gakpo. Gakpo down the line, it goes to Kirkes, who's got time to turn. Back to Gakpo again on the angle of the Everton box. Infield it goes to the goal scorer Gravenberch. Back to Gakpo, into McAllister on the volley. Left foot, his shot is blocked. It's going to fall to Bradley, whose effort is brilliantly blocked by Mykolenko, who threw himself at the ball. And the Ukrainian has stopped a decent opportunity for Liverpool. We'll get James's thoughts on that in a moment, but Liverpool want to take the throw in quickly. Bradley has already got the ball in hands, throws it into Szoboszlai. Back to Bradley and now back to Konate. And Liverpool just camped inside the Everton half at the moment, and the Toffees finding it hard to get out. Van Dijk is pleading there with Ekitike to come short. Eventually when he does, it's too late, and Kirkes plays it wide to Gakpo. Gakpo now has a run on O'Brien, plays it across the area, headed away well by Tarkowski, up towards Ndiaye, who's trying to hold off here the pressure from Kirkes. Sliding challenge comes in from Gakpo. It's going to be an Everton throw, but they need to find a way to stem the tide here, James.
Yeah, they certainly do, and they're not doing a very good job of stemming the flow of chances for the home side. There have been plenty of them for Liverpool, who just keep getting that ball back. The major issue for Everton and David Moyes at the moment is that when they do win the ball back, they just give it straight away. They're not trying to really create anything. They're not trying to hold on to the ball. I understand that Anfield's an intimidating place to come away from home to, when you want the ball and want to create things and also try and stop the opposition from creating too many chances. But at the moment, Everton are really doing neither. They can't get a foothold on the game, and as a result, Liverpool are having a very easy time just getting the ball in behind and creating lots of chances.
We've reached the 20th minute, and as has always been the case, of course, this season, the Liverpool fans stand, applaud and sing Diogo Jota's name. Certainly you feel like the Liverpool players are intent on having a successful season in order to commemorate the life of the former Portuguese star. As Van Dijk comes across here, claims he was pushed by Beto. Referee says nothing doing, and it will be an Everton throw-in line with the edge of the Liverpool penalty area. And James O'Brien is ready to take it. Just waiting to see how many blue jerseys are going to go up inside the penalty area. O'Brien's definitely going to hurl this one in. Jordan Pickford's run all the way over to the touchline to speak to David Moyes. He needs to get back at his goal as quickly as possible, as O'Brien now launches one up towards the penalty spot, headed away well by Ekitike, who got there ahead of Tarkowski. Salah chases hard, but Garner will get there first and plays it all the way back to Pickford. Obviously, the target so far for Everton, as Pickford tries it again here, launching it long, has been long balls over the top, but it's such a greasy surface with the rain as it is today, as O'Brien runs that ball out of play on the near side. They just can't stop the ball. It's just going to one bounce through to the goalkeeper. There has to be a plan B here for Everton.
Absolutely. I think unfortunately for David Moyes, the conditions at the moment really do just suit the home side. Liverpool, they're a side that like to get crisp passes along the ground and be a lot more incisive, whereas Everton, as you've been saying, want to play that long ball, but because of the surface, it is just going to keep running unless they can meet the initial contact, which so far Beto has failed to do as the hold-up number 9. There is just that lack of support. Dewsbury Hall has been absolutely absent so far in this opening 22 minutes of football. He needs to help out Beto.
And every single one. You wouldn't bet on them scoring 3 or 4 the way things are at the moment.
Well, I just think, the best teams, they just attack from multiple areas.
Gay forward, that's a decent ball, it's Beto! And for the first time in the opening half of the first half, there was a faint flutter of slight concern in the Liverpool rear guard. It was a good ball forward from midfield, and Beto was onto it, and there was cover from Konate, and Everton have a corner. And the way they're going, a set piece might be the best route. It's the first corner of the game for either side.
There's Van Dijk. Van Dijk switches off. Better just runs clean off the back of him.
Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall will fire it in, and Alisson's first real involvement of any sort is a double-fisted punch away, and the ball is then cleared by Liverpool back to Mykolenko, the fit-again Ukrainian full-back. Now then, here's Grealish looking to take on Bradley. He's being booed by the Liverpool fans, but he's found Gay. Gay shoots and it's blocked by Szoboszlai. And there's a nice touch there, nice strong touch by Salah. Szoboszlai driving forward. There are 4 red shirts in this attack. It's Salah, it's into the box, it's blocked, and then it's hit by Gakpo, who didn't get hold of it. He's volleyed it down into the ground and it's looped up and over the bar. But in a flash, from Everton having a corner, Liverpool have, with a better connection there from Gakpo, might have made it 2-0.
Yeah, it's really interesting. This is a new thing in football with the set-piece coaches, which is using the opposition set-pieces to attack them. And Liverpool do it better than anybody else. From opposition corners, the way they break and how often they get 4-on-2, 5-on-3, it's uncanny how many times they do it. Gakpo there. It's a hard one to hit. The ball spins up off an Everton player. It's spinning all over the place. But again, it's another shot on target, unchallenged.
24 minutes gone. One shot on target from Gravenberch was successful, and that separates the two teams. But to be honest, that's simply what separates them in terms of the scoreline. The difference between the two performances has been a chasm, really. Here's Michael Keane, square to James Tarkowski. He's got movement ahead of him. This is Njai, and now Gay. Gay looks like he's wearing tights, white sort of, I wouldn't call them tights, what would you call them? Lycra undershorts that cover his entire thighs and knees. He's clearly feeling the Merseyside goal. He is from Senegal, and his defence, by footballing standards, he's getting on a bit. He turns 36 this week. It's just a game, but you can't see. The only flesh you can see is his hands and his face. Everything else is covered up. Here's James Tarkowski sliding it forward. Good challenge, though, by Van Dijk to give Liverpool possession, and then that's a foul by Njai on McAllister. Warning, I would think, rather than a yellow card, probably, for that foul on the Argentinian World Cup winner. A little bit clumsy from Njai, but not particularly malicious or dangerous. And McAllister is straight back into action, receiving the free kick. Back to Virgil van Dijk, who famously scored an FA Cup winner against Everton 2018, I think it was. It was extra time. He hadn't long been at the club, and it was a signature goal from him. Of course, he's gone on to score plenty since then, the latest of which won the game here in the Champions League in midweek. Also wins, of course, for Tottenham and Arsenal and Manchester City, but not Newcastle. Here's Grealish driving forward, slips it into Dewsbury-Hall, who shoots from an angle left-footed but puts it wide. That is the only time in the game so far that Everton have really managed to find a way in behind the Liverpool rear guards. Good ball by Grealish. Bit of a wild shot by Dewsbury-Hall.
From that angle, I mean, it's a beautiful turn from Grealish, and he's away, and he does the right thing, slips in Dewsbury-Hall, but the angle's too tight. I mean, Dewsbury-Hall, you play out on that side, you know when it's too difficult to shoot, and you know when you should be cutting it back, and that has got cut back to the edge of the box, written all over it.
It's a very good clearance by Alisson that put his defender under real pressure. Kyrgios has done brilliantly well to show a clean pair of heels. Njai will now be yellow because he's done exactly the same thing as he did to McAllister, and that has forced Darren England's hand, and Iliman Njai, quite understandably, becomes the first player in the match to be yellow carded. I mean, you just can't do that twice in 2 minutes and expect not to get booked.
Well, that's the first time Everton have really pressed Alisson from a kick, and Liverpool has just played out round them easily. And I think there's a bit of frustration creeping in there as well, but it's a definite foul, definite yellow.
Here's Gravenberch. Kerkez has looked lively, hasn't he, down the left-hand side. Here's Virgil van Dijk on halfway, finding Kerkez again. Formerly of Bournemouth, one of the summer arrivals for Liverpool, £40 million of him. Here's Mikalenko, back to Jordan Pickford, wearing pale green ensemble today. Header is infield by Dewsbury Hall, but Liverpool have won it back in midfield. And that's just a astute pass by McAllister. Here's Ekitike. Oh, that's a lovely goal. Liverpool sliced Everton apart with 3 passes there. And Hugo Ekitike, who scored in his first 3 Liverpool appearances, has doubled their money today. And it was a thing of beauty. A lovely, lovely build-up. A composed finish, side-footed into the corner. And in 29 minutes now, it is Liverpool 2, Everton 0.
Well, as good as it is from Liverpool, it's a horror show from Everton, because that time their entire midfield got stranded in places where you do not want to be stranded, and they just get passed around so easy. There's no press on the ball, and that is why I was saying earlier in the game, you want Ekitike playing on the last man, because once he gets in those positions, he's deadly. Beautiful through ball, and Gravenberch, who's now scored one and made one. Nutmegs Pickford with the finish. It's unerring, but it's what Liverpool deserve. Everton haven't been in this game.
Yeah, you've summed it up really well there. Brilliant from Everton. Gravenberch, goal and an assist. And they went straight through the middle like a knife through butter. And Ekitike, who's enjoying life since moving to England from Frankfurt for £69 million. He scored in the Community Shield, scored in his first 2 league games as well, and has now got a goal rather in the Merseyside derby. And you talked about foreign players understanding the significance of these games. I would imagine Hugo Ekitike, a Frenchman who's played most of his career in Germany, will probably have enjoyed that goal as much as anyone, because he'll know what it means.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I know these guys, they tend to bed in much easier than they ever did when I played. I mean, we used to sign these players for millions of pounds, stick them in a hotel room and tell them what time training was on Monday. we don't do that anymore.
No.
We're a lot
integrated
better.
Now.
Yeah, we're a lot better at integrating players.
I also think, though, things like the internet, the world has sort of become closer together, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Also the fact that everybody now speaks English as their second language. Here's Everton, but just when they had a sight of goal for the first time, they were made to pay. And I mean, it's been horrible for the Everton fans, hasn't it? Because we bigged them up, as rightly so. They were 6th in the table. If you look at Everton, if I was an Everton fan, I'd think, well, it's about time they returned to Europe, isn't it? They've got a proud tradition of European football. They were huge in the 80s. They won the Cup Winners' Cup. Our old mate Trevor Stevens scored in that game against Rapid Vienna in '85.
Yeah.
They're the sort of club with a tradition and a history and a fan base that really would want and maybe even merit European football, and that will be the target, won't it?
Yeah, they were a club along with Liverpool, which that European ban in the 80s, which just killed English football for so long, and right at the time when Everton were in their pomp, when Liverpool were arguably the best team in Europe, and it set English football back years and years and years.
Yeah, after the Heysel disaster. Here's Salah. Can't quite find Gakpo. Everton reeling now, really. Mikalenko slices the ball out of play, pretty much sums up Everton. They are completely rattled, aren't they?
They need to be careful now, because this game can be done and dusted by half-time if it isn't already.
Yeah. Well, there's very few signs that Everton are going to come back, but of course, let's not forget Liverpool. They know how to let Leeds slip, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
So it may not be all done and dusted yet. I think normally you might say that, but the way it's been this season, they've struggled even with a handsome advantage as they have now, not least on Wednesday. In the end, of course, they seem to find ways to win games, but Again, if I was a Liverpool fan, I'd probably quite welcome a fairly comfortable win rather than a nail-biting 95th minute penalty as it was last weekend. Here's Salah. Ball pings back towards Beto, and it's picked up by Dewsbury Hall, who's trying to wriggle his way through. He's done well here to keep possession, actually, and he lays it off to Mikalenko. Now it's Gay. You can't tell where his shorts end and his socks begin, Gay, can you? Here's Tarkowski.
Yeah, I mean, when you consider how young he is, I mean, you can already tell he's a real athlete, isn't he? I mean, he's just made to be a footballer.
33 minutes gone, Liverpool 2, Everton 0. It's very, very comfortable for the red half of Merseyside at the moment. Rather like it was for the blue half of Manchester last weekend when United were put to the sword.
Yeah.
United's problems are still gigantic, and of course we'll be bringing you their latest game, and it's against Chelsea. It should be a good one. Now then, here's Ekitike driving forward. I heard Ruben Amorim say this week that even the Pope couldn't persuade him to change his tactics.
Yeah,
a lot of United fans would probably say, well, let's give the Pope a go and see what he thinks. But Amorim's certainly not getting it right at the moment.
No, well, that's why he's going to lose his job. You know, you can't be stubborn, unfortunately, in this. You have to be fluid, especially in the Premier League. You have to be.
I think it was Albert Einstein who said the definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting things to change. And that is Amorim in a nutshell, isn't it? It's bizarre, but of course he's got the dreaded vote of confidence, hasn't he, from Jim That. So that's usually another sign that he could be on his way. Anyway, that's at 5:30 at Old Trafford with Matt Trouble and Paul Parker. That'll be a really good one. Probably less so if you're a United fan. United's under-21s lost to Brackley Town in that National League competition in midweek. That was another one. They got knocked out of the Carabao Cup, of course, by Grimsby. Liverpool, incidentally, play Southampton in the League Cup on Tuesday, while Everton go to Wolves. That's, I think, the last 32 of that competition, which, of course, Liverpool were the runners-up in last season, beaten at Wembley by Newcastle. 10 minutes to go to half-time here, and it's pretty comfortable. Well, it's probably more than pretty, it's very comfortable for Liverpool at the moment. Alisson hasn't had anything noteworthy to deal with. Sum total of Everton's 35 minutes really is one corner and a shot badly wide. That is about it.
That is it, yeah. A few hopeful long balls to sort of nobody in particular.
Here's Van Dijk. Pushes it forward to halfway. Gakpo's come back. Van Dijk again. This is 326th appearance for Liverpool. Virgil van Dijk. Alisson. It's a very loose ball by his standards. Straight to Ilman Ndiaye. Ndiaye down the right-hand side. Cross is useful looking cross. And Beto, acrobatically with his back to goal, really tried to hook it into the top corner, ended up hooking it into the Anfield Road end, but that was very, very loose indeed from Alisson, who's normally better than that.
Oh, it's so sloppy. Do you know when a game's so easy? It's so easy to suddenly get a bit sloppy with your pass.
Off,
and Van Dijk letting him know what he thinks about that pass. There's absolutely no need to chip it to a player from that sort of distance. Just play it on the floor.
I agree. Nonetheless, plays a short ball from the goal kick to Alisson. Ekitike wants it played long. It is hit long by the Liverpool keeper, but it's headed away by Tarkowski. Fielded in his technical area by Arne Slot, all in black. He's not as huddled up in terms of his clothing than David Moyes is in that puffer jacket. He's just wearing a sort of light black top. That's almost a great ball, but here's Grealish. looking to take on Conor Bradley. Bradley's done all right against Grealish so far. Grealish chips it out to Mykolenko, who hangs it up. Ilman Ndiaye gets up, but it's a good header by Milos Kerkez. And then eventual clearance from Gakpo, but this is the best little spell that Everton have had, really. And here's Jake O'Brien, right-hand side. He's got room for a cross. Firm header away at his near post, though, by Van Dijk. But Everton, it's the first time their fans have seen their team enjoy any kind of spell of possession inside the Liverpool half.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult for Everton. You're trying to get in those wide areas and cross the ball, and you're trying to get it. You're trying to hit a pinpoint cross and get it in between two absolute giants and a goalkeeper. It's hard going for Everton.
Yeah, it is. They have a throw in. Tarkowski and Van Dijk are sort of enjoying a bit of a joke as they bump and barge into each other in sort of schoolboyish fashion, as if they're, mucking about in the lunch queue or something.
Yeah, this is the thing with football. You could
the referee's having a word with them.
I know.
It's clearly incredibly
ridiculous.
good-natured.
Yeah,
You don't need to get involved. Darren, England clearly didn't see the funny side of that. Everyone else did. Anyway, Liverpool face a long throw, which they're back in vogue, aren't they? Long throws, apparently. Back to the days of Rory Delap. And it's Jake O'Brien, he gets it in. It's headed away firmly, though, for Liverpool. Back it comes, but Alisson's quickly off his line. Tarkowski had stayed up, but Alisson was always going to get there first, and Tarkowski faces the long trudge back to his defensive station.
I just don't know what you're expecting from those long throws. I mean, you're launching it in, hopefully. It's not a particularly long throw he's got, actually, O'Brien.
I mean, some of them are effective. I think the thing with long throws is they're completely different to defend than corners, aren't they? And we've seen teams benefit from them. Here's Salah for Liverpool. He's lost possession, and Idrissa Gueye cuts it across. And then there's a foul by Conor Bradley.
But I think, there's a difference. If you throw a loopy ball in, it's so easy to head. The difference, I mean, I played in that Stoke team with Rory Delap.
Yes.
That used to come in faster than a cross.
Yeah.
And you only had to you weren't looking to get too much on it. You just needed a little touch.
Were you looking to get the initial flick, or were you looking to get on the end of the second?
What he was doing was he was aiming to score inside the far post.
So he's aiming to
score.
Yes,
he's aiming to
just put it in that area.
So you're just looking for a touch,
a nudge, anything.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Did you score from his throws?
I didn't, which is embarrassing to be honest. But a lot of other strikers did.
I bet you did in training.
Yeah, I remember it used to wind Wenger up massively. He hated it, and it used to get so angry about it. I was like, well,
he's a purist, isn't he?
He really is. He hated it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And I remember another one when we were playing against Manchester City, and Robinho was playing. They'd just signed him, and he'd never seen it before.
Oh, right.
And I remember Rory throwing the ball in, and Robinho collapsing on the floor, laughing, holding his stomach.
Oh Lord. Of course, Rory Delap's lad doing well at Chelsea, although we wish him a speedy recovery. He's got a bad injury, hasn't he, Liam Delap?
Yeah. But yeah, lovely family, nice guy, Rory.
Yeah,
and made the most of what he had.
He did, and there are a lot of players like that. We saw James Milner the other week, didn't he? Scored a penalty. Player who's managed to score at the age of 16 and the age of 38 or whatever it is, 39. It's incredible.
Yeah, it makes me feel very old.
Well, it's remarkable, really. But absolutely a shining example of making the best of your talents. Maybe not the most gifted player on earth, but somebody you always want in your team. James Garner with the lofted free kick. Big punch by Alisson. Another double-fisted attempt, and Salah's trying to get on the loose ball. He won't get there. It's hoisted back by Mykolenko into the Liverpool box and headed clear only as far as Ndiaye. We've got 3.5 minutes to go to half-time. Here's Dewsbury Hall. He's been caught in possession, and that's a mistake by Bradley, and Grealish might get onto this. Bradley should have cut it out and didn't. It's Jack Grealish trying to cut it back for Everton, and that'll be a corner to them, and that was very, very sloppy indeed from Bradley, who just seemed to take his eye off the ball.
Do you know, the thing is as well, that if he had managed to intercept it, Liverpool were 3-on-2 at the back, and he just took it. I think he got so caught out thinking what I'm going to do with it that he took his eye off it.
Yeah, it's like a chess player 2 moves ahead, wasn't he? This is Everton's second corner of the game. Liverpool haven't had one yet. haven't needed one so far. But this would be interesting if Everton can create anything once
this
again.
would be very
Darren
Everton.
England- Yeah, well,
this would be very
Liverpool. Yeah. Absolutely. James Garner is going to take the corner. He's a good set-piece man off his right foot. Ekitike's guarding the near post. It's going to be an in-swinger from the former Manchester United player. Well, it's not actually. It's going to be a short ball to Grealish instead. Grealish back to Garner. Garner shoots low. Ekitike's in the way. And
yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Hoof.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that for a corner routine.
No. Long ball back from Everton, who have been better in the last 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
You could argue that they couldn't have been worse, but they have at least showed a little bit of split. The problem is now that the margin is a huge one for them to overcome. Yet again, we're going to have a long throw. And yet again, I'm going to peak too early because it wasn't taken as a long throw, really. It was just thrown back. Here's Szoboszlai, who's done well. Over the top towards Salah. Has Salah got the pace to get to it? I don't think he has. Pickford will get there by the corner flag and play a nice astute diagonal first-time ball. That was good footwork by the England goalkeeper. Here's Idrissa Gueye finding James Tarkowski. Just over a minute left in the first half. There won't be very much stoppage time at all. This is O'Brien in towards Beto, nudges it down towards Ndiaye, who can't control it. Gakpo finds Kierke's. It's a slightly awkward ball for Alisson, but he takes a touch and drives it long. Tries to find Mo Salah. He claims he was being tugged back. The referee's having none of it.
No.
Salah is...
no, Mo.
Yeah, he's
I'm afraid not.
He's sort of waving his arms around like a petulant child, isn't he?
No, there's been more physical challenges than that have been waved on, I'm afraid.
Absolutely. Yeah, he set up the first goal for Gravenberch. Gravenberch set up the second goal for Ekitike, and Liverpool, with 6 attempts on goal to Liverpool's 3, are sitting pretty as we approach half-time. They've only had 2 attempts on target, but they've taken full advantage of them. Almost up to the interval. Just a reminder that we've got Brighton against Spurs coming up. What's your general impression of Spurs? They've had one blip, haven't they, against Bournemouth? Otherwise, it's been quite good.
It was the Bournemouth one was a funny game because I was sort of watching the updates, and apparently it should have been 3 or 4 to Bournemouth, which is a really odd.
It is.
Kind of blip in that form guide.
Ball forward towards Dewsbury Hall. It's a good ball too. He cuts it back. There's a chance here for Everton, but it's not hit properly by Idrissa Gueye, and it allows Alisson to comfortably save Everton's first attempt on target of the game. He really didn't get hold of it. He might even have been going wide. He scuffed it rather. It was a rather ugly shot in the end, and a simple save for Liverpool's Brazilian goalkeeper.
Well, it's that combination again with Grealish and Dewsbury.
it's whether that's going to make a lot of difference, because Beto didn't really do anything wrong. He just wasn't getting the service, and unless they create something around Barry, it's going to be the same situation. I presume he's going to play as the main striker.
Yeah. I just, Beto, Konate stuck to him like glue, to be honest. He had precious little to go at.
Yeah.
But this is not a game that Moyes really wants to chase. I think he'll see if Barry can offer them anything for 15 minutes, and then there are attacking players on, and if he brings them all on, I'll be amazed.
Yeah, here's... that's a lovely flick over the top by Ekitike, who chases it down. Everton managed to get in with the saving tackle from Idrissa Gueye, and the ball goes out of play. So Liverpool have Alisson in goal, no changes for them. Connor Bradley, Virgil van Dijk, Ibrahima Konate and Milos Kerkez at the back. Ryan Gravenberch, who got the opening goal, and Alexis McAllister in midfield. Then it's Mo Salah, Dominic Szoboszlai and Cody Gakpo, Hugo Ekitike up front. I'll give you the Everton lineup in a minute as Liverpool look to attack the Kop in the second half. Here's Cody Gakpo, who's been a little short of goals lately, but has contributed in other ways. This is McAllister and Ekitike again, showing a nice touch there. Liverpool claim there was a foul, it's not given. Everton have Jordan Pickford in goal. Their back four is Jake O'Brien, Michael Keane, James Tarkowski and Vitaly Mikolenko. In front of them, Idrissa Gueye and James Garner. Then it's Iliman Ndiaye, Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, Jack Grealish, who's not had much impact in this game whatsoever. And the new striker is Tieno Barry, who arrived from Villarreal in Spain for £27 million. His fourth substitute appearance in 5 in the Premier League. Wasn't amongst the goals very much in Spain towards the end of his spell there, Barry. He managed 1 in the last 11. The ball is in the Everton half, but Van Dijk can make, or Everton penalty area rather, and Van Dijk can make little of it. And it goes out. 47 minutes. Arne Slot looking pensive, but really a man who's had very much to worry about so far. Yeah,
I was just looking at that. I mean, long throws are back in vogue, as we know. That's the shortest long throw I've ever seen in my life from Kerkez. Barely made it into the area.
So it wasn't really a long throw, it was just a throw.
Yeah, to nobody.
Szoboszlai is tackled, but I think is the referee given a foul there, or was he given a throw? I'm not sure. Mikolenko was the man with the challenge. He was the one change for Everton prior to the Tieno Barry arrival. He came in having had a spell on the sidelines. Here's Virgil van Dijk for Liverpool. You just sense that an early goal for them would probably end it as a contest completely.
Yeah, definitely.
Comes through to Pickford. That said, I think they're 2-0 up there, and they've only had 2 attempts on target. I say only, I mean they've scored them both, but Pickford hasn't been, under huge pressure, has he? I mean, most of Liverpool's first half consisted of them dominating territorially, but they haven't created mountains of chances.
No, they were very aggressive in terms of possession, but it's a nice position to be in for Liverpool. They'll create chances naturally without having to chase it.
Van Dijk nicks it away from Barry and does well to find Salah, who can't quite find Ekitike, and Michael Keane will sweep it towards this near side. Jack Grealish, as I said, not a lot from him really in the first half, looking to take on Bradley, just jinking and turning and almost stumbling there, but regaining his footing and finding Idrissa Gueye, who had the one chance Everton got on target in the first. He's probably not the player they would have wanted that chance to fall to be honest, Gueye. Never been a prolific goal scorer. Here's Pickford in his lime green kit, finding Gueye, who pings it across towards the far side. Tarkowski takes it on his chest. Remember, the hero for Everton last time these two teams met. Long ball forward, chased by Dewsbury-Hall, but Alisson was able to gather very comfortably inside his box. Another example of, route one from Everton, but it hasn't worked, has it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Tarkowski, though. He's got his hands on his head like, if you believe it, Dewsbury-Hall, you might have got that. Well, it's a clean run in behind. Nobody tracks him.
Yeah. There seems to be a lack of urgency about Everton, which is, I say, is peculiar, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's been that way right since the start.
I mean, Liverpool, you've said it on a number of occasions, and rightly so, they've just been stronger and more aggressive and shown more intent, Liverpool,
Yeah.
right from the first whistle.
Yeah.
Allison knocks it up to halfway. Szoboszlai will chase it and he'll keep it in, but Keane will cover and knock it back to goalkeeper Pickford. We have 5 minutes of the second half. Prior to today, Everton were unbeaten in 5 games in all competitions. Defeated Mansfield in the League Cup. They haven't lost 5 away in a row, remember, since 1937. Here's Dewsbury Hall. That's a decent touch. Barry, tall figure, wearing number 11, finds Grealish. Grealish into the Liverpool boxer. A goal here for Everton would be absolute gold. Thus, it's a poor ball by Grealish, who fails to pick out Idrissa Gueye, but it's come back to him. That's a lovely first touch to try and get away from Bradley. It's been a good tussle between those two. Bradley stands him up. Here's Idrissa Gueye. Gueye's got Mykolenko behind him. Poor ball. And it could be very poor if Liverpool can counter here. Nice touch by Ekitike. Gakpo can't get there, and Garner was strong in getting back in midfield. Here's Mykolenko, but he's giving it away, and Liverpool will try and surge forward. You hear the increase in volume. It's Mo Salah on this near right-hand side. Just gets the ball back under pressure from Idrissa Gueye and finds Dominic Szoboszlai, who got that absolutely stunning free kick here against Arsenal in a pretty drab game apart from that moment, but what a moment it was. He was mentioning him, he's been fantastic. Now back in midfield, having deputised really strongly at right back. The right back now is Bradley, who's on the ball. Certainly a more defensive-minded player than Szoboszlai, but you can see, I mean, you know, Arne Slot's, we said it in the first half, the tactics have worked, haven't they, so far?
Yeah.
Whoops, there's a slip there, but Kirkish did well to recover and scamper away from his man. And then a loose pass from Ekitike, who then knocks it out of play. Rather scruffy opening 7 minutes of the second half so far.
Well, it is. I mean, I was just thinking to myself, actually, the last 2 minutes, this is why people love the Premier League, because the ball transitioned in 2 minutes between the two teams about 15 times.
Yes.
You just don't see that in any league. I mean, it's not great quality, but it does make it really exciting.
It does, yeah. I mean, Everton are really going to have to lift themselves. David Moyes probably is pretty astute at half-time, rabble-rousing. Certainly needed to be. Here's Dewsbury Hall, but again, Everton have lost the ball on the edge of the box. Here's Salah, and this is where Liverpool could be so dangerous. Lost it up towards Ekitike. The header is away by Tarkowski, and there's a touch by Salah. It's a beautiful touch. And Gravenberch, well, that's magnificent the way he took it down and then beat his man in one movement. McAllister in the centre circle. Here's Kirkes, and now Virgil van Dijk. Gravenberch's found a pocket of space in midfield, plays it out wide to Ekitike, looking to take on O'Brien. Ekitike tries to go round the outside, not able to, plays a diagonal ball back to Gravenberch. Now it's Alexis McAllister and Szoboszlai. Kirkes, and again Ekitike to try again against O'Brien. This time he's come inside and he shoots. It's a weak effort. It's cleared as far as Bradley. Bradley's found Salah. Salah swirls it towards the back post. It's overcooked. You know what he's trying to do, and we've seen him do it more successfully than that many times in the past, but it's just drifted behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, not the best one, but Liverpool can do that all day long, just side to side to side across Everton's box, wait for something to open up from one wing or the other. That time it comes to Salah in a pocket of space, and that's unlike him.
Yeah, well, if it stays 2-0, Liverpool, before the 3 o'clock kickoffs, would have a 6-point lead at the top of the table, ahead of Arsenal's game tomorrow against Manchester City. Everton would drop to 7th behind Sunderland on goal difference, having conceded 2. Here's James Garner. Now Idrissa Gueye. Mykolenko on this near side, and Grealish again. He's not had much change out of Bradley, has he? Still going, Grealish. This is Gueye. Useful ball across the centre of midfield. This is Tarkowski. Just tries to drill the way through and forward, and he's done well, and he's found Grealish. Jack Grealish Here's Mikalenko, cuts it back, chance for Dewsbury Hall, who hits it on the turn, and it's blocked by Konate, and it's a throw to Everton.
Well, that's better from Everton.
Yes.
Finally, Grealish holds on to the ball. Mikalenko overlaps him. Hard and low, exactly what you want, but it's just, again, it's that question, who's in there for Everton? Who's in there actually asking the question?
Grealish again trying to cause some problems. Again, it's a diagonal ball to Idrissa Gueye, and now it's Garner. This is a decent spell from Everton. Mikalenko, left-hand side, cross in, Konate heads clear. Comes to Ekitike, who lays it off well. McAllister with a prodded ball forward, and Gakpo's going to get there. Oh, and he played an intelligent first-time ball. Didn't quite come through to Ekitike. This one might come through to Salah, who controls it and shoots, but shoots weakly on the turn from 16 yards, and Jordan Pickford is down low to save. But that's how quickly an Everton attack can turn into a threat at the other end from Liverpool.
Yeah, it's just a ball. It's a header out, and this is the problem that Everton have got, which is I mentioned it there. They're crossing the ball, but there isn't anyone who's really going to attack it. It's an easy clearance from Konate, comes out to Ekitike, sets it off, and suddenly Liverpool are out. That time they managed to get Mo Salah in his favourite position, chops back, and it's not his best shot in the world.
Well, only one player has scored more goals in derbies in the Premier League than Mo Salah, and that's Steven Gerrard. Salah currently has 8. Gerrard one better. He wouldn't bet against Salah nicking another. Took his penalty sublimely well, didn't he, considering the pressure last week. Now then, Everton trying to get forward with Njai, who was booked in the first half. Gets the cross in, it's awkward for Alisson under his crossbar, but he's judged it right and got 2 hands around it, and he's knocked it long towards Ekitike. Good defensive header though by Michael Keane. Liverpool fly in and win the ball. Salah is on halfway near side, looking to dart the ball diagonally across, but he's delayed that and found Gravenberch instead. But this is a bit more positive from Everton,
better,
certainly way better than the way they started the first half.
It's better from Everton. I mean, clearly the game plan is get the ball to Jack Grealish, dribble, and then cut it back. The issue that they've got is when he cuts it back is to Idrissa Gueye, who doesn't do anything with it.
No,
he just
well,
goes
it's not
sideways.
in his nature, really, is it? He's not that sort of player.
It's different when you've gotten it back to Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah. If only, say the Everton fans. Here is Jack Grealish. De Bruyne's former teammate, of course. It's a decent ball, it's laid back, there is Gueye, and he's scored! It's a fabulous strike by Idrissa Gueye into the top corner, and Everton have got themselves back into the game. 13 minutes into the second half, it was a cross from the left, a nice touchback, and Idrissa Gueye has hammered it into Alisson's net, and Everton have got the early second half goal they so desperately needed. It's Liverpool 2, Everton 1 now.
Well, I'm going to eat my words. He should just shoot all the time. This time Jack Grealish goes on the outside, stands the ball up on his left foot. What a touchback that is. Beautiful touchback. And then you just ask him for quality. Just hit the target. Can he do what he couldn't do in the first half? And he sweeps it high and wide. And I tell you what, for the start Everton have made, they deserve that.
They do. As you say, it was a glorious nudge by Ndiaye, who cushioned the ball.
Beautiful,
set it up wonderfully well. And Idrissa Gueye, who celebrates his 36th birthday on Friday, has scored his first goal since May last year. And that's changed things. We were talking about Liverpool getting a goal that would probably end the contest. Everton have just scored one that keeps it very much alive.
Yeah, it's so I mean, Arne Slot must be going mad. It's so unnet. They were in no danger in this game, and it's so. We mentioned it when Everton had that corner at the end of the first half. This would be so Liverpool. Well, that is so Liverpool.
Yeah. They do have a habit of conceding goals.
Yeah, they really do, and it's a bit of a worry.
And he's making a couple of subs here. He's going to bring on Florian Wirtz, who's been left out for the first time this season, and Curtis Jones, who's missed a couple of games with an unspecified injury. That's to come. Well, we're up to an hour, and it's Evertonian voices ringing around Anfield at the moment. Idrissa Gueye with a lovely strike, and suddenly the whole dynamic of this fixture has completely changed, potentially. And Liverpool have much more to think about than they did a few minutes ago.
Yeah, but it's been Grealish. They've been getting the ball to Grealish.
Liverpool have given the ball away there, but got away with it. Van Dijk, edge of the box, goes long. Easy header clear for O'Brien, and now it's Njai. Well, we talked about him as a talent, and I mean, it was a deep cross by Grealish that went away to the far post, and he just cushioned it so well that Gay just had to connect with it, which he did brilliantly, and it just flew into the corner before Alisson could even look.
But what's scary about that goal is nobody stops the Grealish cross, so that's poor defending. Nobody is marking when the ball's touched back. Who was it who touched the ball back there? On the
for the goal.
Nobody's marking him. Nobody's picking up the runner for Idris Gay to sweep it. I mean, it's worrying. It's poor defending from Liverpool. There's three opportunities to lay a glove on Everton players and they haven't.
We're going to get a double sub. Wirtz has just come on to replace Cody Gakpo, and Alexis McAllister is the other player who is being withdrawn to accommodate Curtis Jones, who's, as I say, back from an injury. Was sent off in the derby against Everton last season, but he's scored a couple of goals against them in the past, Curtis Jones. For Florian Wirtz, it's an entirely new experience, one of the foreign players coming into the cauldron of this derby. But I thought he had a terrific game against Atletico in midweek. And they need something magical from him now, because I mean, it's the old cliche about a goal changing a game, but my goodness,
it really
that
has.
one has, hasn't
it? Really has.
Yeah, it really
and
has.
I'm looking at two centre-halves for Liverpool who were in no danger in the first half. Suddenly, both of them just punting the ball on aimlessly.
Everton fans have found their voices. Can they find another goal? Finished 2-2 at Goodison between these teams last season. Header forward is going to roll through kindly for Alisson, who had literally no chance whatsoever with that beautifully struck shot by Idrissa Gueye. He went through the whole of last season without scoring, and then Konate's put the ball straight out of play. That'll be worrying. You always sense this, that when teams are rattled, you can tell, because the number of sort of elementary individual errors creep in, and Konate has literally just passed the ball out of play.
Yeah, but Alisson would be entitled to ask who is picking up Idris Gueye. I mean, that's not the first time he's been in that position. He had a shot in the first half that he scuffed, no one picked him up, and he's done exactly the same again.
And as you astutely observed, he was completely the wrong player to be in that position.
This is why I'm not a manager.
Cross by Liverpool into the Everton box. Szoboszlai is there. He tries to cushion it the way that Ndiaye did for Gay, but wasn't able to in the path of Mo Salah as the rain comes tumbling down at Anfield. It's been drizzly, but now it's quite heavy, lashing down actually, as Liverpool prepare to take their first corner of the match in the 63rd minute. Given their dominance, it is perhaps surprising that they haven't had a corner thus far. And we're going to see Alexander Isak, I think, in a minute, who's moving around ominously for Everton. In the meantime, Szoboszlai will take the corner. It's a low, peculiar in-swing, and I don't think that's what he meant to do at all. It's come back out to the Hungarian, who finds Gravenberch, and now it's Bradley. Over on the far side is Curtis Jones involved for the first time. And now Gravenberch again. And he clips it towards Van Dijk, who can't get a header in. Tarkowski does, I think, and it's off him for a corner. And Liverpool, having had no corners for 62 minutes, now have had 2 in 1 minute.
Better from Liverpool, just pushing them back a little bit, pushing Everton back towards their own goal, taking the sting out of the game.
Yeah, they're attacking the Kop in the second half, who were back in full voice after the Everton fans a lengthy celebration of Idrissa Gueye's goal. Remember, they've only won once in 28 visits to Anfield, so I mean a draw would be a magnificent result for Everton in every sense.
Given the way the game has gone, I mean it would be a miracle if Everton get out of here with a draw.
Szoboszlai then with another corner. This one's going to be an in-swinger from the opposite side. Van Dijk is still there. So too is Konate. In it comes. It looks long, and there was a push and a shove there on Tarkowski inside the 6-yard box, and Darren England indicates just why he's given a free kick by pushing the palm of his hands forward, shoving the back. 65 minutes gone. Liverpool 2, Everton 1. So a game which looked utterly one-sided at half-time now appears to have both teams involved. And Everton actually have had 7 attempts to Liverpool's 8, which you
never would have said
thought that would be right. Some of them haven't been of great quality, to be fair. But there you go. Isak is receiving final instructions as he pulls on his new number 9 shirt, having made his debut as a starter against Atletico Madrid. Here's Konate, slips it forward to Bradley. Bradley's fouled there by, I think it was Garner. It'll be a free kick to Liverpool, quickly taken. Gravenberch pushes it forward, and here's Florian Wirtz's first chance, twinkle toe, but in the end not finding a way through. Here's Njai, who's similarly adept in tight spots, and finds Pickford, who hoists it long. I don't think Pickford's played the ball short once today.
No, I don't think he has.
Here's Grealish then. He was instrumental in the goal that Everton got. Can he magically produce another for them? Gets to the corner flag.
Oh, he's done brilliantly.
Has he run out of play, or has he won a corner? I think he might have just conceded a throw rather than won a corner. He's having a word with Szoboszlai.
Yeah, I don't think that went out, you know. I mean, I don't know how the linesman can see from there.
No, that seems to be the verdict anyway. Grealish is wagging his finger. We've got to look
well,
at that.
It's never been out.
It's go out. Ooh.
That's not out. That's not out. It should be a corner to Everton.
Yes, it's debatable, but yeah, it wasn't the first touch, it was the second one where it... Anyway, Isak is about to make his second appearance since joining Liverpool from Newcastle. Controversially, from a Newcastle point of view, he celebrates his 26th birthday tomorrow, Alexander Isak. It's his first Premier League appearance for his new club, brought in at massive expense, £125 million, 23 goals last season. Only Mo Salah, his now teammate, scored more. He scored actually for Newcastle against Everton a couple of seasons ago in a 1-1 draw, and he is on. And here's Salah, and now Szoboszlai. Szoboszlai drives it forward. It looks a bit of a hit and hope attempt, that, and it'll bounce straight through to Jordan Pickford. Midway through the second half, Pickford drives it long towards Everton, who are much more full of belief now. Dewsbury Hall, decent ball. Here's Iliman Ndiaye. Good feet by him. He's got Grealish for support. Here's Jack Grealish into the box. Can he conjure another telling cross? It looks a decent one. It's Gay again, and it's in towards Barry, and Barry loops it up, and it's punched away by Alisson, but I think the referee's going to award a free kick for a foul on the goalkeeper. But once again, Jack Grealish has begun to start becoming the predominant figure in this game.
Yeah, he's terrorising Bradley out there, and it's Idris Gueye who does the right thing, cuts it back. Barry is just a few inches from Gueye. He's tightly shackled by Jones, and of course, as we all know, you can't touch goalkeepers.
To be fair, I think
he does jump into Alisson. Yeah, he's got to go for it.
Yeah,
he's got to go for it.
So Tierno Barry with his first real sight of goal.
Yeah, but it is. I mean, the game plan has been. There's been nothing more complicated to it other than get the ball to Grealish.
Yeah,
and just take him on. And he's done that, and Conor Bradley's had no answer to it so far.
Well, you know, I think you were suggesting in the first half that was Everton's best bet, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, obviously David Moyes is in agreement with you, and it's paid off so far. Konate with a clearing header. Gravenberch was fouled, but the referee will let play go on. It's Curtis Jones for Liverpool, finding Mohamed Salah. Salah looking to pick out Szoboszlai, gets the ball a bit stuck under his feet, tries to return it to Salah. There's a tussle for possession in midfield. It's won by Iliman Ndiaye, who again shows quick feet and again finds Grealish. This is absolutely Everton's tactic now. Get it to him. He's won a free kick. Foul by Szoboszlai. And a yellow card, I think, for Dominic Szoboszlai to go with it.
Yeah, they're starting to come out of their pockets as well now, Everton, and ask questions. Grealish there coming in off the wing. Ndiaye coming in off the right-hand wing, right the way over to the other side. And Liverpool trying to ask themselves who's supposed to be picking these players up.
So Dominic Szoboszlai is into the referee's book. I don't know if the referee wrote his full name. I was very proud of myself the other day. I actually managed to spell Szoboszlai's name without checking. It's a major moment for me in my preparation. So free kick to Everton, just short of 70 minutes played at Anfield. And an opportunity potentially from a set piece for Everton, who play it down the line to... Oh, now what's happened? The referee wants it retaken. I've no idea why. Grealish wasn't very impressed, but nor was David Moyes. I've got no idea what was wrong with that.
Yeah.
It certainly wasn't encroachment, because the nearest Liverpool player is about 20 yards from the ball. It's in the centre of the pitch, inside the Liverpool half. James Garner is going to take it. There's a row of blue-shirted Everton players in the box. It comes in for Garcia. A useful delivery, actually, and Konate has headed it behind for a corner. And Everton fans behind that goal in the Anfield Road end are encouraged.
Well, you can't believe how this game has swung around. Yeah. Honestly, it's just incredible.
20 minutes to go. Everton have got themselves halfway towards where they need to be, and they have a corner now to try and complete the comeback. Arne Slot watches intently at the posse inside the area there, as Kieran Dewsbury Hall with his left foot looks to curl in the corner. Headed away firmly by Konate, and Njai and Garner seem to get mixed up as to who would play that ball, and suddenly Liverpool are on the counter here with Salah picking it up from Szoboszlai. Wirtz is streaming forward. This is Florian Wirtz. He chipped it beyond Mykolenko, but as he tried to shoot, Tarkowski got in very, very well to block the ball and make sure that Wirtz couldn't get a shot on goal, but it is a Liverpool corner. Good defending by Tarkowski.
It's brilliant feat from Florian Wirtz, because he opens it up. To be honest, the challenge that comes in from Tarkowski is brilliant. If Wirtz had scored, that would have gone to VAR, because I actually thought he was ahead of the play.
Might well have been, yeah. Szoboszlai has another opportunity from a corner. This could go either way, this game. You know, could be 3-1 Liverpool or 2-2 quite easily, I think.
Yeah.
It's completely shifted. Anyway, Szoboszlai again. This one's another right-handed corner, so it's an in-swinger. And it's towards Van Dijk, who gets the header in and almost replicated his goal in the Champions League in midweek. It was blocked in the box. It was a downward header from a corner. And Everton's defence stood firm. Ball hoisted forward towards Salah, away by Tarkowski. This is a very, very compelling derby now.
Yeah.
Florian Wirtz, overlap from Bradley. Wirtz ignores him and goes infield to Szoboszlai. Fouled by Garner. Free kick Liverpool. Can't take your eyes off this now.
No, I think it's a Konate header, and I think it's hit Jack Grealish.
You're right.
And I'll tell you what, it's heading in the inside of the post without doubt.
It's a block by the chest of Grealish in front of his keeper.
It's decent from Grealish, actually.
Yeah,
he chests it down. Yeah. Real composure, hooks it away.
You're right, it was Konate. So a free kick midway inside the Everton half for Liverpool. Szoboszlai, of course, thundered one in against Arsenal. This one looks too far away even for him.
Yeah.
But he's got the ball in his hand, and he's assessing the situation in front of him with a view to trying to restore Liverpool's 2-goal advantage.
Yeah, on this surface as well, he could do a lot worse than just ask the question of Pickford and get everyone following it in.
Well, it's 35. Actually, maybe I'm doing him a disservice. Maybe he will have a crack from here. It's not that much further than the one he scored against Arsenal.
It's just on the other side. It's just on the right-hand side.
Szoboszlai looks to me as if he's going to go for goal. We'll see. He does, and it's over the bar. No repeat of what he did to the Gunners against the Toffees today.
No, but if you've done it once, you earn the right to try it again.
Absolutely.
And he's trying to wobble it. The way he's hitting the ball, he's trying to knuckleball it. And it just goes to... it dips so quickly, but it's just over the bar.
I'm loath to bring Watford into the conversation, but we have a player called Nestori Irankunda. I don't know if you're aware of him. He's an Australian international, 19. Scored a magnificent free kick at Swansea, then hit an even better one in a draw with Southampton, and then for Australia from an even further distance rattled the bar. He's absolute free kick specialist. Check him out.
Yeah, I'll take
Check
a look
out
at
the goal against Southampton. It was a 2-2 draw, very entertaining game. Brilliant free kick. Anyway, here come Liverpool, and here's Isak for the first time, and he's tried to control it and turn for a cross, but the ball has eluded both his foot and the goal line and gone behind, and it'll be a clearance for Everton. We've got 15 minutes to go at a very rainy Anfield, and it's going to be a very, very absorbing 15 minutes in this derby tussle. Liverpool win would take them 6 points clear for the time being. Tottenham Hotspur, of course, can close that gap if they win in our featured game, which is at Brighton and Hove Albion at 3 o'clock. After that, we've got Manchester United against Chelsea, and we also, of course, have commentators at Fulham, Brentford, Burnley, Nottingham Forest, West Ham, Crystal Palace and Wolves Leeds, all taking place today. Arsenal, Manchester City tomorrow alongside Sunderland, Villa, and Bournemouth against Newcastle. Here come Liverpool. The ball is, well, it's played into an area where there were no red shirts at all. I'm not sure how aware Vitaly Mikalenko was of that, but he sort of sliced it away from Milos Kerkez's cross, and he's given away a corner. Should he have been more aware
this
there?
is when
But
we're
he
talking,
didn't get a shout.
We're talking about body shape. For defenders, when that ball comes in, you don't want to be facing your own goal for that exact reason. And if he had been facing out as he's supposed to, he would have realised there's no one behind him. He could have left it.
Another corner for Liverpool. We've had a flurry of them after getting none in the first half. Van Dijk and Konate are up there again. It's Szoboszlai again. It's only half clear, but again there's an infringement. It was tangle there between Kerkez and I think O'Brien, and the referee has given his verdict in the favour of Everton.
Yeah.
Quite sure why.
I'm not sure.
Maybe it was another bit hold. I don't know. All sorts of things going. I mean, you've been in the thick of all that, haven't you?
Well, I think sometimes just easier for the referee to blow his whistle, to be honest. It's, you know.
I mean, it's difficult, I suppose, for a striker or a defender not to sort of be very, very physical in those, because there's so much jostling going on. You're trying to get a yard of space.
Yeah.
It's tough. Here's Grealish, who pushes it forward to Dewsbury Hall. Good tackle on him, though. Salah caught in possession. There's a real tangle of legs there, and Idrissa Gueye emerges with the ball, and then there's a foul. And it was all rather messy, that period of play. And Grealish and Salah have collided. Grealish seems to have come off worse. I think he'll get the free kick. It was a real, what they call in Scotland, a stramash. So a tangle of legs and the ball.
Yeah, more than anything else. Nothing really malicious. It's just, again, it's that you see this in the Premier League, the ball transitioning. It's like pinball sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. 13 minutes to go. Everton free kick.
Oh, what is this referee? Honestly, David Moyes will be going mad here.
He's produced a yellow card for somebody. For Dewsbury Hall.
But David
Moyes is looking utterly mystified, as are the rest of us.
This is the second time it's happened where the referee's saying I'm not ready, and the argument is, yeah, but 22 players are. So why aren't you ready?
And also, why has Dewsbury Hall been booked for the referee not being ready?
It's an absolute nonsense.
Strange booking. Very strange. Anyway, let's try again. This time Garner plays it into Dewsbury Hall, who, as a result of that, of course, is now walking a tightrope, isn't he?
Yeah, and Everton their game has been slowed down for them.
Gueye hoists it forward. Barry climbs, can't make contact, and Jack Grealish goes to ground and is tackled by Connor Bradley.
Well, Everton are starting to come back into this, and Liverpool are starting to get a little bit desperate with their challenges, and I'm just wondering if after this free kick whether David Moyes will make his move, because looking at the bench, there's players who can affect this game for them.
Well, it's a free kick to Everton. Garner again is standing over it. The rain continues to lash down on Merseyside. Everton moment look like the more likely scorers.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Garner's lining up the free kick. He's got a good right foot, and he'll swirl it into that Liverpool box, I'm sure. Here we go. He's curled it. Oh dear, that was a waste. That really was. That was neither a shot nor a cross. It ended up bouncing and curling about 2 yards wide of Alisson's left-hand post.
Yeah, it's really poor. It's really, really poor. What you're asking for from that position is you whip it in as if you're trying to score in that far post, because then you just need a change of direction, a little glance ahead or something, and if everybody misses it, it's still on target and you never know. But one thing you can't do is waste it by missing the target completely.
Alisson drives it forward. Salah looked as if he was being held there as the header was won by Keane, but nothing's given. It goes out of play in front of David Moyes' technical area on the near side. We're going to into the final 10 minutes in just a moment. Haven't seen much of Alexander Isak yet. He's had one attempt to cross which eluded him. Here's Alisson pushing it forward to Curtis Jones under pressure but got away with it. But now Gravenberch has lost out to Garner. Garner's surrounded by red shirts and then plays it through. Surely offside, flag goes up. Idrissa Gueye's going to shoot. It's all academic because Tiano Barry was clearly a long way offside. So much so that the referee decided sensibly to the assistant referee, I should say, raised his flag very quickly on the far side because that wasn't that wasn't borderline. That was about 3 yards.
Yeah, it wasn't one. It was both of them as well.
Not the hardest decision the assistant will have to make this afternoon.
But this is what Liverpool will want. I mean, they're taking an age over these free kicks now, slowing the game down.
Absolutely. Here's Conor Bradley. He's going to keep the ball alive on the near side and find Mo Salah. Salah to Szoboszlai. Now with a bit of space in midfield, it's Ryan Gravenberch who got the early goal to set Liverpool on the road to what looked like a comfortable victory until half-time, certainly. Now they've lost it again, and Jai's being held back, and that may well be a booking for Florian Wirtz. It is. The German has been yellow carded, so we've got a little flurry of cards now. That one was thoroughly merited. We had a go at Darren England earlier, but to be fair, he's had a pretty decent game, hasn't he? The referees has played advantage when he can, and he's done all right.
Yeah, because it has been blood and thunder.
Slightly sticking to the rules in terms of the free kicks.
Yeah, it's just frustrating for Everton because obviously they want to get on with this. They can smell an equaliser.
Liverpool have won the ball in midfield. Isak tries to play the ball forward, not able to. So a couple of touches so far from Isak that haven't been great so far. Just over 8 minutes left of the derby. I wouldn't say Liverpool are hanging on, but certainly you'd say the lead is not a comfortable one.
It's not the easiest 10 minutes it should have been, to be honest.
No. Here's Njai finding support from Mikalenko. Now it's Tarkowski and James Garner crosses halfway for Everton. Dewsbury Hall picks it up. The former Leicester and Chelsea actually scored against Liverpool in his Leicester days. Hasn't had much of an opportunity today. Blazed one wide in the first half. Idrissa Gueye, who blazed one into the net, has now given the ball away, and that's a good ball. Here's Szoboszlai. He's got Salah in a pocket. This is Mo Salah. Brilliant judgment by Pickford, who came out very early, as he had to do so, because had he not, Salah would surely have walked the ball into the net.
Yeah, brilliant from Pickford. It really, really is. He's on his toes. He's not had much to do in this half, but he's alert there. And Jack Grealish here, I don't know if he's got away with this. He's trying to keep the ball in and he's used his arm. Honest's not convinced. I'm convinced.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But I'm not quite sure what's been given. Or maybe it might just be a throw into... Yeah, it is a throw into Liverpool. Yeah. Hard to see from that angle, to be honest.
Tarkowski heads it forward for Everton. It's controlled by Grealish, but he goes tumbling over. Play continues. Szoboszlai for Liverpool. The Kop willing Liverpool to get a goal which would probably end Everton's resistance. Curtis Jones, Florian Wirtz turns in the box. Here's Szoboszlai, wants it on his right foot. Should have hit it perhaps with his left, delayed, and Everton clear. That was a decent opening for Liverpool. They haven't had a huge amount of openings in this second half.
No, that just needed to be hit. It's on your left foot. It's not going to get any better than that.
No. It always amazes me how many players are reluctant to use a weaker foot. It's incredible. Here's Curtis Jones, slides it down the channel but too far in front of Isak, who will not get there in a month of Sundays, and Everton are preparing another substitution. Charlie Alcaraz, an attacking midfield player from Argentina, is about to come on but not quite yet. Now Grealish has given the ball away. Here's Bradley for Liverpool, just jinking down the touchline. Well, Liverpool do have a habit of scoring late goals. The majority of them have been winners. This one would be one that would seal a victory rather than actually achieve one.
These are late changes coming up from Moyes.
We're going to get a couple of Moyes changes. Sorry, Dave.
I thought David Moyes might go a bit earlier than this.
That's a mistake by Mikalenko. He's given it to Isak. Isak, edge of the box. Still has it, tucks it through Salah. And that's another brilliant tackle by James Tarkowski, who's made a few of those, but actually there was an offside flag against Salah, so the tackle, even though Tarkowski wasn't to know, didn't really matter. It was very
had to
close.
make it. I mean, he's not entirely sure. He has to make. It's a brilliant tackle.
Good tackle, yeah. He knows all about Merseyside derbies. He was the equalising hero at Goodison last year. And he's made two really wonderful challenges today. 5 minutes to go. And we're going to see a double substitution for Everton. Iliman Ndiaye comes off to be replaced by Alcaraz. And Tyler Dibling is on. It'll be interesting to see how quickly he can impose himself. He hasn't had an awful lot of time, or he won't have an awful lot of time, but he showed some brilliant moments in a desperately underperforming Southampton team at this level last season.
Yeah, he's a ball carrier. He likes to pick it up, run at players. I don't know if he's going to get the space to do that, particularly in the last 5 minutes of this game.
Grealish has lost out to Szoboszlai. Szoboszlai's had another strong performance, runs into trouble with Garner getting across to tackle him. 4 minutes left at Anfield plus stoppage time. I think there'll be a huge amount of stoppage time. We haven't had a single injury in the whole game, I'm glad to say.
Yeah, 3-4 minutes perhaps max.
Yeah, a few subs, but the latest subs from Everton. Now then, Conor Bradley rattles the ball out of play inside the Everton half. It's fair to say that Grealish has won that battle with Bradley hands down second half, hasn't he?
He has.
He's tormented him down that left flank. Here's Garner with the throw. Liverpool intercept though. Van Dijk picks it up and finds Kirkes, who goes all the way back to Alisson. Alisson swings it away towards the near side. Nice little flick on, but doesn't reach anyone. And intercepted by Keane. That's a good ball. Here is Dibling for the first time, finding Grealish. Dibling goes on a run down the left-hand side, wants the ball back and will get it. Good strong defending though for Liverpool by Gravenberch. Now it's Salah. Gravenberch again, just trying to drift down the flank, but he can't find Szoboszlai. And now Grealish is in a bit of space. It's Jack Grealish, and it's Gay, and it's blocked by Bradley, the low cross. But Everton still have it with Tyler Dibling. And now it's Dewsbury Hall. Header is away by Kirkes. Wirtz will try and prevent the throw-in, not able to. It'll go out of play, and Everton fans sensing that there might be something on the cards here, but they haven't got very much time in which to play their final hand, really. It's going to be another long throw. Michael Keane has gone up to try and get on the end of it, marked by Isak. Liverpool fans are looking a little bit anxious now as we end. I mean, they're the masters of scoring in the last minute. They won't want to concede in the last minute. They won't here because Kirkes has repelled the throw-in. Dewsbury Hall. And that's a nice turn, and the cross is high and hanging. Tarkowski's under it. It's only half cleared by Liverpool. And here's Alcaraz trying to make an impression, but it's been knocked all the way back to Ghana. Just listen to those Evertonians willing their team forward. 1.5 minutes of the normal 90 to go. And now it's Alcaraz who's just come on. Popular player at Anfield, joining permanently after a loan. Here's Grealish. Has he got one last trick in the box? Squares it back to Garner, but this is okay for Liverpool because Everton are going backwards at the moment. This is Dibling. Now Dewsbury Hall. Away it comes towards Grealish on this near side. Everton not done yet as we enter the final minute of the 90. Looking to take, they're doubled up on Grealish.
Yeah, they have. Szoboszlai's come over,
yeah. He still gets the cross in. It's a good-looking one. It's towards the far post, and it's an excellent defensive header by Kirkes. to concede a corner, but he had to do it. It's a really good intervention because the swirling cross from Grealish was excellent, and well, there might have been a headed goal there had Kerkez not got in the way. Instead, Everton have a corner. Pickford looks on from the other side of the pitch as Dewsbury Hall prepares to deliver this corner. It's high, it's hanging, it's Grealish on the volley, and he's put it wide.
Oh, that's difficult. That's really, really difficult. It's at the corner's gone all the way to the back post and beyond, to be honest. I mean, it's taken an age to drop out of the sky, and by the time Grealish hits it, Konate's right on top of him.
Yeah, and he sliced it quite a long way wide. We're into stoppage time, of which there will be only 3 minutes, about right. Nothing but substitutions, really. Nothing else that's halted the game. I think we get so used now to 6 or 7 that it's almost surprising when you only get 3, but that's absolutely
it's the right
correct.
decision.
Correct.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. So, is there time for Everton to try and get a point out of this fixture? At the moment they're defending because Conor Bradley has it on the near side for Liverpool, trying to jink round Grealish, goes back under pressure from the England man and steers it away to Gravenberch. There's no real need for Liverpool to push forward with any great desperation at the moment. They just need to keep the ball. Here's Gravenberch driving it away. It's not a particularly good ball towards Isak, but the clearance only falls as far as Florian Wirtz, who finds Milos Kerkez. Now it's Curtis Jones, Liverpool born and bred, back from injury and on as a sub, finding Florian Wirtz. Wirtz diagonally in towards Isak. Isak to Szoboszlai. Szoboszlai, will he shoot? He does. It's blocked by Ghana. Liverpool corner, but that'll suit them. With 1.5 minutes left, they're up the right end of the field.
Yeah, I mean, that 3 minutes of injury time, we're at 91 and a half, and they've had the ball the whole time. It's exactly what they would have wanted. They'll take an age over this corner.
Garner's got problems with his ankle or his calf or something. And that was cramp. It is literally just cramp. And Tyler Dibbling is applying the downward pressure to get
he's just going to have to get up
on his feet. Yeah.
He's just going to have to get up and get on with it.
Absolutely. It'll add maybe 30 seconds or so to the stoppage time period, but Liverpool have a corner. It looks like they're going to go short because Szoboszlai and Salah are both standing over the ball in front of the Kop. Salah just rolls the ball back. He was caught a bit late there by Dibbling. It's going to be that's silly from Dibbling because he's now given Liverpool a free kick at the wrong end of the field, and also he's given them an opportunity to just use up time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
a bit naive from the youngster.
Tarkowski's asking the question. The referee's telling him, "I've stopped the watch."
Yeah, well, he has to. He was right to do so.
Yeah,
and Szoboszlai is not going to be in a huge rush to take this free kick. That's for sure. And again, I suspect he might tap it short to Salah. We are in the 93rd minute. We've got Brighton against Tottenham coming up. Then we've got Manchester United against Chelsea. United fans will be probably watching that from behind their sofa, I would think, at the moment. Salah goes backwards, tackled by Tarkowski. No harm done for Liverpool, who have a throw in. And we're into 93 plus now. It looks like they've done enough to make it 5 wins out of 5 at the start of the domestic campaign. Or can Everton find one more final roll of the dice? Not at the moment. They head it forward long. Van Dijk is there, and Van Dijk rolls it back to Alisson, who has to come back to prevent it from going for a corner and has conceded a throw in doing so. It's incredibly loose from Van Dijk. Everton take the throw quickly as they have to. Grealish into the box, headed away by Curtis Jones. Back it comes, but Liverpool will counter-attack now with Kerkez, but I think he's handled it. No, he hasn't. The final whistle's gone. Didn't hear the final whistle in all the noise, but it has gone. And Liverpool have maintained their perfect start to the Premier League campaign. They now have 5 wins out of 5, 15 points, 6 clear of Arsenal, Tottenham and Bournemouth, but it was a strange game. They utterly dominated the first half and were handsome leaders through Gravenberch and Ekitike, but when Gay scored an early goal in the second half, Liverpool in the end almost had to cling on, but cling on they have. It has finished at Anfield. Liverpool 2, Everton 1 on Premier League Live.